Wow. republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
Thank you.
So now we'll do commissioner introductions. So commissioners, for the record, please state your name and city of residence, starting with commissioners on my left.
David Gravel, Highland Park, Texas.
Ted Houghton, El Paso.
Fritz Duda, Dallas.
Pete Peterson, Alpine.
Dick Tipp, San Antonio.
Garrett Donnelly, Midland.
John Now, Houston.
Catherine McKnight, Dallas.
John Crane, Dallas.
Mike Agee, Fredericksburg.
Dale.
Kay Hines, Pleasanton.
Lilia Garcia, Raymondville.
Laurie Limbacher, Austin.
Well, thank you. We have a quorum present, and this meeting is open. We will excuse who's absent? Monica. We'll excuse her absence. Is there any objection? Being none, the absence is approved. Okay, public comment, one of our better elements. Members of the public may address this commission concerning any matter within the authority of the commission. At this time, we will take public comment. I have a number of sign-up sheets. Anyone wishing, the forms are out on the table, as you heard. I run a pretty strict timeline of 3 minutes. Please keep your comments within that range so we don't have to cut anyone off. First up, Sam Collins. Sam.
Good morning.
Morning.
Sam Collins, Chair of the Levi Jordan Advisory Committee, also an A&M graduate, so welcome to Aggie Land. Yesterday when I attended the committee meetings, the chairman spoke about San Jacinto Battlefield and the effort to restore it to its original landscape, to fill in the hole. When we tell real stories or real places telling real stories, we have the opportunity to fill in the hole in the gaps of our Texas history. This is our Texas history, all of us. As a student here at Texas A&M University, I did not know the contributions of Senator Matthew Gaines, but when there was controversy around removing statues all over the country, Texas A&M is a case study for what we did here. Instead of removing statues, we added a statue of Matthew Gaines, which if you have not had the opportunity to see, on the north side.
All right.
Claiming my time.
All right.
On the north side of the Memorial Student Center is the statue of Senator Matthew Gaines, who was responsible for helping to establish not only Texas A&M University, but also Prairie View A&M University. Growing up here in Texas, I did not learn that in our classrooms, in our history classes. So we have an opportunity to lead by expanding the narrative of Texas history, not to exclude or take away what has already been taught, but to add to the narrative. On Saturday, we will have an event at Levi Jordan, a day of remembrance, where we work to expand the narrative of our shared Texas history. I would be remiss if I did not speak about, of course, our Freedom Day here in Texas. So next year, we will be celebrating 250 years of our country's establishment from 1776 to 2026, but Texas should take the lead telling our freedom story of Juneteenth. It is not to take away from the 4th of July, but to expand the narrative to talk about how freedom was expanded to the enslaved people, not only in Texas, but all over this country. I am a 7th generation Texan with roots back to 1837. My children are 8th generation Texans. This story is important. I thank you for your continued work to tell our Texas story, and I want to encourage you to visit the Matthew Gaines statue, and also if you have not had an opportunity to come see the work that the staff is doing at Levi Jordan and Varner Hall plantation sites, I welcome you to come be part of our programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. And Jay Jones. Here he is. Good morning.
Hi, I'm Jay Jones. I'm the new executive director for the Texas Forest Trail, so I just want to take the time to introduce myself. Since I took this job, I've been pretty busy, and I've met with some of the people within the region. I went to the Texas Commission of the Arts Board meeting here in Austin. I went to the Deep East Texas Council of Governments meeting in Woodville, Texas Downtown Roundtable in Crockett, and Deep East Texas Marketing Cooperative in Lufkin. I've also visited the Ice House Museum in Silsbee, Texas, meeting with representatives of Hardin County Historical Association, as well as Lumberton and other communities. From an operations standpoint, I've been working to gather our assets and rebuild our marketing efforts, and just reestablishing community engagement throughout the region. One major opportunity I think we have in East Texas is we have over 250 festivals a year, with 60 plus of these being cultural and heritage festivals. So I see a great opportunity for cross-marketing of these festivals, which brings in a lot of people, and then promote historic sites and cross-marketing to strengthen economic development there. Anyway, I wanted to introduce myself and just let you know Texas Forest Trail's in good hands, and looking forward to this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Welcome aboard. Valerie Bates.
Okay, I took your line, Pamela. Good morning, Chairman Now, Commissioners and staff. My name is Valerie Bates. I'm the site manager for the Port Isabel Lighthouse. And I think I'm probably going to leave a minute on the table here this morning. September 2019, the Port Isabel Lighthouse became a THC State Historic Site. 6 years ago, and 337,485 visitors ago. That includes 12 months of COVID challenges where we were either closed or enforcing extremely limited visitation. We still face challenges, and a softer market has us more focused and deliberate with marketing efforts, which will include new strategies. We just hosted a group of RV park owners, managers, and activity directors on Wednesday. They are the influencers to the Winter Texan community. We're headed into the heaviest travel and trade show season with new ideas of how to connect the Lighthouse experience with this demographic. With a softer market, it's a reminder that we can't take our visitors for granted. October, Halloween season, the Lighthouse hosted a community event. 24 vendors created a safe space where families can trick or treat. Ghostbusters was projected on the side of the Lighthouse, and we had back porch activities, including a history hunt. Inside the Lighthouse, imagine stepping back in time, where you could hear the voices of past lighthouse keepers, William Egley or Hannah Ham. Imagine the sounds of a storm outside or the ratchet of the gears as the clockworks were wound up so the lens can rotate. We played that audio track as an immersive and connective experience. We're also several steps closer to final plans for improvements on the Keeper's Cottage Visitor Center. We've had a chance to comment on the first draft of our interpretive master plan and are very grateful for the support of this commission and leadership for all the possibilities this will bring to visitation, outreach, and education. And lastly, congratulations on the grand reopening of Washington on the Brazos. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Pamela Anderson, update on the Brazos Trail. Welcome.
Thank you. So good morning, Chairman Now, Commissioners, THC staff, and distinguished guests. Welcome to the Texas Brazos Trail region. So we're truly honored to host you here in Aggieland and to share a few highlights. I'm Pamela Anderson, Executive Director. And joining me today is Rachel Altman, board member, Jen Jones, marketing and development, and our Authentic Texas LLC Associates. So, and Gig'em, whoop. And so, do that. I'm here today to proudly proclaim that we welcome every opportunity to collaborate, including right here in Bryan College Station. There's been a lot of collaboration and partnerships happening this week. And the progress is on our full display between the two cities and the county. Continued collaboration, and it truly leads to charging as we grow leaps and bounds in our region, in connection, relationships, and telling the stories and the places that make our communities and our county and our region strong and alive and vibrant. This fall season, our team continues to be very active with our Brazos Trail boots to the ground, engaging directly with counties and communities and heritage sites, face-to-face, handshake to handshake. We have expanded our impact through partnerships with Main Street communities, Bryan, College Station, Caldwell, Clifton, Elgin, Georgetown, Hamilton, Taylor, and Waco, and as you'll see today, more are being added to the list in the Brazos Trail region. Each community shares their needs and visions and expresses great interest in collaborating with our team. Most recently, we've joined forces with the Texas Downtown to celebrate their 40th annual conference in Waco this week, and hosting, sponsoring, and presenting, and then traveled south on the trail to sponsor and host and working collaboratively with the Friends of the THC welcome reception at our partner site in the beautifully historic Carnegie History Center, led by Rachel Altman, right here in Bryan. We thank our friends, Rachel Altman's team, and all who were able to attend that event, and it was truly a magical event. We continue to seek opportunities to work with the THC divisions and other statewide agencies to educate community leaders and serve as a connector to programs and resources that strengthen heritage tourism. We've also been working tirelessly with all 10 trail regions at statewide events, Fort Worth Home and Garden Show, Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio at the Travel Expo, Texas Downtown Roundtables, and the Texas Downtown Association Annual Conference this week in Waco. And next week, we'll be representing the Brazos Trail region at the Governor's Summit in Belton. We are enthusiastic, and we are all with all that lies ahead in 2026, and we're deeply grateful for the Texas Historical Commission's continued support. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam, and all your associates. Good report. Charlie Webb, on behalf of the Ritz Theater in Corpus.
Thank you, Chairman. Good
Morning.
Commissioners, staff. So I am on the board of the Ritz Theater, Chairman now in Corpus Christi. The theater was built in 1929. It was built as an atmospheric theater. If you've been in the Majestic, most of you have. It's similar to the Majestic. It's a 1,000-seat theater, actually 1,300 seats. We're restoring it to 1,000 seats. It's a sister theater to the Plaza in El Paso, for those of you that have been there. And we're very excited, and with our ambitious opportunity, thank you, State Legislature and Texas Historical Commission, to reopen this theater on its 100th birthday, which will be Christmas Day 2029. And we're well underway. We have a strong board. It's been working very hard. We have strong community support, and we had strong legislative support. And I believe we're on your consent agenda, Chairman, for some of the earmark legislation. And I'm simply here on behalf of the board and everyone in Corpus Christi. I can assure you it's supported by our entire community, government and private alike. I'm here to thank you and to thank your staff. We're already working with them, and we find that's a great experience. We're learning every time we talk to them. And we look forward to seeing you all in our theater when it reopens here in a few years. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Any questions? No. Again, thank you, Charlie. May get this wrong. Delaney Cranberry? Sorry, here she comes. That's about as bad as I can do. Welcome.
Close, it's Delaney. Howdy, folks. My name is Delaney Granberry. I am with the State Fair of Texas, and I'm the Brand Experience Manager. I filled out the public comment form just in case I had to speak later, but I just wanted to say that, the State Fair of Texas, we aim to be the most Texan place on earth, and part of that is telling the history of the state. So we look forward to continuing to work with the Texas Historical Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Marcus Watson.
Chairman, I'm here specifically on agenda item number 9.
That's the shortest public comment. And Seneca McAdams. Heritage Trails. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am Seneca McAdams. I'm the Executive Director of the Texas Independence Trail Region. My statement today is just nothing but thanks to begin with. This is the month of thankfulness. I want to tell you, we represent 28 counties in southeast Texas, from San Antonio just east of Houston, that whole upper Texas coast from Galveston down to Port O'Connor, and then we go up to Brenham and to Bastrop. Very excited about Washington on the Brazos. I've had the privilege to be able to work on that historical foundation for many years, and I can't wait for all of you to be able to see it today. I do want to just thank you for all of your hard work, for the funding that you were able to get us through yet another legislative session. And we are such a proud partner with the Texas Heritage Trails Program, NTHC, and then of course our other 9 trail regions throughout the state of Texas. We are very excited about Washington on the Brazos. Sitting here with Amy, who is with San Jacinto. We've got San Felipe in the room, and I cannot be more excited about all the opportunities that are coming through with all of the new developments, to be able to show our new Texans and then those native Texans as well how fabulous our Texas history is, and to remember all of it. Finally, I do want to send a formal invitation to you on behalf of the Board of Directors for the Texas Independence Trail Region. We have our big annual fundraiser next week. It is the Texian Rally Workshop. In fact, the chairman has spoken once before in Gonzales, and we also had Joseph Bell speak for us last year down in Lake Jackson. It's going to be in Victoria, Texas, so that will be on the 12th and 13th, but I want to formally invite all of you, but thank you very much.
Well, thank you for all your hard work. Is there any other public comment? That's the end of the forums. All right, we will move concurrently meeting with the AAB, the Antiquities Advisory Board. First, we have an update on Alamo Plaza, the Alamo. Patrick?
Good morning.
Morning.
Chairman Now, commissioners and staff. I'm Patrick Gallagher with Gallagher & Associates. I send regards from Hope Andrade, who could not be here today, but she said she will see you at the next quarterly presentation. I'm here to give you an update on all the progress at the Alamo, though the pictures are a bit at the end of the room and a bit small. I'll ask you to use your imagination. We're going to cover the entire Alamo site today with just an update on where we are in construction. We'll start with the Mission Gate and Plaza de Valero. We are in final punch list on this part of the project. It is open and functioning now. There is construction for the promenades coming up to the plaza still under works, and we'll take a look at that as well. This is the promenade. The promenade is partially finished but accessible to the public.
The interpretation and signage is not on site yet, but you can see all the paving is in place, and they are working through all the landscaping and punch lists on the promenade as well. Continued work will be ongoing, as the promenade won't be complete until obviously all the work is done in front of the Museum and Visitor Center. But it has transformed the site. If you get out there, you'll see the transformation of closing the streets has been phenomenal. The Alamo Gardens are deep under construction, primarily currently around the Ed Center, and you'll get an update on the Ed Center later in this meeting today, but we're moving the fountain, and those are the foundations for the fountain that you see in the lower photograph, and then ongoing site work is happening all around the Ed Center and the perimeter of the new Ed Center in tying in the gardens. I know these are not the most exciting photos, but I want you to see where all your funds are going. This is all the underground utility work. And then this is the projected renderings for the rest of the Alamo Garden Works, which is under development currently and out for bid. So we're reviewing rough order of magnitude pricing now, and this will be one of the last phases of work, is finishing out the gardens. The Ed Center is really progressed. The opening date is projected for substantial completion in December, and then potentially operational by the first quarter of next year. They're doing all the interior finishing, the AC, temporary AC is on, so this building has really progressed at an amazing pace, and it will be operational by 2026.
By when, Patrick?
By the spring of 2026.
Right.
Alamo Church, obviously an ongoing project. We are through our second phase of archaeology work and around the foundation, and continuing to do design work for the infrastructure and working on the superstructure that will cover the church while it goes under renovation. So there's still a lot of active design and engineering going on with the church, and active archaeology and structural work around the foundation. The Long Barracks as well is continuing with pre-construction services so that we can begin the real work of renovating the Long Barracks. There's continued archaeology and underground work that's happening, and some work around some of the foundation issues that were caused by the flood, and that work is almost complete now. So the Long Barracks is following a bit ahead of the church, but on a good pace. The lower Paseo, as you can see, has not only been completely demolished, but is also, the infrastructure is already poured for all the fountains. Stonework will be going in around the fountains sometime in the next few months. And this project is progressing very well. You can see the lower left-hand corner. That's part of the foundations and staircases that will be coming up from the lower level. This is some of the work that's happening all the way through to the Hyatt, and the lower left is the connection into the Hyatt. So again, this project has really made progress because the infrastructure work is now all in. Alamo Plaza itself is at 100% construction documents, which means it will be going out to final bid. So we have completed all the documentation, and all the gardens and walkways will be going out to bid. And again, this will be complete when the Museum and Visitor Center is complete. Cenotaph is under reinstallation. It's almost 75% complete, and I believe you'll get an update on that later today. So it's progressed not only at a great pace, but it has had great support for the public as all this work has been done. Alamo streetscape work is ongoing all around the site, so we manage the streetscape as we can close areas and do that work and reopen it safely for the public. So Alamo streetscape is being done again in a variety of phases, and this will happen as we finish things like the Ed Center, we finish the promenades, we finish the lower Paseo, we can finish other parts of the streetscape as well. The Museum and Visitor Center is making
incredible progress. Here's an aerial view from inside the back of the Woolworth building, and then you see the lower photograph is the Crockett building. Here is a view from the Hyatt garage. All the underground work off to the left, lower left, is all the infrastructure for delivery docks and lower level work. The basement foundations are complete. You can see the steel for the first level coming up on the lower part of the photograph, and then the beginnings of lobby and infrastructure work, columns coming up and steel coming up. So they're making great progress on the inside of the building, and it is it's a massive construction site. If you get down there, you should ask the Alamo staff to give you a tour. It's impressive. Exhibits and signage, we've just released a contract for $32 million for the execution of all the exhibits. So all the exhibit work is now underway. The staff and the design team have been out reviewing casework manufacturers and different products that will be used to create all the exhibits inside the building. We have selected a casework manufacturer. We were originally using a European manufacturer. That's now under reconsideration because of a tariff problem and the costs of bringing that casework into the United States. So most likely the casework will all be made in the United States now. All the exhibits themselves are well under production. These are just some of the photographs of all the different illustrators that we're using to create both the media and the graphics for the exhibition. So we have a number of artists that are working with us and a variety of different styles appropriate to each of the different styles of interpretation throughout the museum. So it is progressing at not only a great pace, but you can begin to see what the texture of the story will really be. The Event Center is, for many of you that don't recall, the Event Center is currently the retail center for the Alamo. We will vacate that when the new retail center is done in the visitor center and museum. This will be restored. You'll get an update on this today as well, that really will make an incredible event center. The lower level will all be catering and support, and then the historic lobby level will all be restored and will be part of the revenue opportunities that we have for the Alamo. We're working on the Welcome Center near Plaza de Valero. There are a series of welcome centers where visitors will be able to come in and not only buy tickets, but be able to determine what they can do on site, how long they can spend on site, and really make their visit a much more informed visit. And we have a variety of these that will be coming up all around the site. So wherever visitors come in, they can have an informed visit and they can get their ticketing process before they come in the museum so that we can handle pacing through the museum at a much quicker and efficient way. And our off-site bus parking, the design work is just beginning there. So all of this under this freeway work will be for all the off-site school bus and tour bus parking. And we're working with TxDOT to work through all the complicated issues of integrating this here, but it will really relieve all the pressure of where we're going to be able to park school buses and
Patrick,
tour buses.
that's parking, but the students or visitors will be dropped off where?
They will be dropped off behind the current new collections building and then be processed into the Ed Center. So they come in, there's bathrooms at the back of the new collections building, and that pathway will connect right into the Ed Center. The buses will loop down and park, and then they'll be picked up there as well. So it's a safe on and off for all the students. And you'll get into this presentation later. It's a further update on the cenotaph. We had our first meeting with the development team for the hotels. So the hotel development and redesign and construction is in progress. We've had our first conceptual meeting last week with the hotel development team, so I'm happy to say the hotel work is moving forward very, very quickly. And we don't have a projected date, but we do have preliminary budgets for all the work, and I can tell you that the Menger is going to be a phenomenal hotel when it's finished. Thank you. Any questions?
Commissioners?
Mine, Patrick? I've got a list here. You mentioned a fountain right off the bat. Where is that on the grounds?
It gets moved to the further away from the Ed Center, and it's and then the architects are here, and they could probably tell you.
It's just to the west of the Ed Center.
Yeah.
So Okay.
It's moved about 50 feet.
Is it an original fountain, or are we rebuilding it?
No, we're rebuilding the original. We're simply moving it.
Okay. The promenade, is it within the walls?
No, it is not.
It's outside the walls?
It is.
Okay, thank you. The long barracks, I'm sorry. If I'm not mistaken, originally the long barracks had 2 stories.
It did, and we're raising the current parapet to represent where the 2 stories were. We're not going to recreate the full second story, but we are raising the parapet enough, and we will have a handheld. Your phone will have a digital app that will allow you to do an AI recreation of what the second level will look like.
Thank you. And I was interested in the illustrators. Are they dominantly Texans, or are they from all over the place?
They're from all over the country.
Okay.
And you'll see this afternoon at Washington on the Brazos, some of the people that did illustrations out there are working at the Alamo as well. So
Okay.
when you're dealing, obviously, with subject matter that is this historic, there is no photography, so the recreation of these events and the
Right.
representation of individuals requires a variety of different approaches artistically.
Okay, thank you, sir.
A quick life safety issue to go along with Chairman Now's comment about the buses. So when you drop off the school kids, will the buses go in a route where the door opens up to the curb and then comes
They-
back and picks them up at the curb?
We're changing the traffic pattern so they drop off on the sidewalk side, not the street side. So they
Right.
will be, that was part of our really re-looking at how to route the traffic in the back. So the buses will always move in a one-way path, and we took two-way traffic off of that street so that we don't ever risk someone walking into the path of a car or a bus.
Good, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick, and your team. And go ahead.
Good morning, Larry Ursik with Architectus. Here to, in Austin, and here to give you an update on the Alamo Cenotaph progress we made since we last spoke.
You might
Yeah.
move the mic up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So last time I was here, we were steam cleaning and laser cleaning the monument. It had been fully scaffolded. Since then, we've made a lot of progress on the monument. As you can see here on the left, once we took off stone by stone, every stone that we had documented and documented the damage, we exposed the concrete frame and removed the brick infill. Had some great material scientists on the team and structural engineers. We repaired the concrete. Most of the problems were happening because of poor ventilation and then problems with the drain. So we are improving that, and what we needed to do was re-alkalize the concrete and change the pH, which had risen to around a 12, bring it back down to 5 to 7, so we could really arrest that accelerated carbonation process that was happening with the concrete and the steel. After that, and that process included putting on these white cassettes and filling them with the fluid and charging them to change the pH. It was really an incredible process. So that's going to preserve that structural frame. Then what we did is we actually applied a real thin 1/8 inch coating that would help even more preserve the structure and stop that carbonation process about 1/10 of what it would typically happen in its lifetime. We then installed brick. The brick was removed because it was, had a lot of salts that were actually contributing to that deterioration as well. The very top had some of the worst damage. We prepped that, applied that coating in the center you can see here, and then on the right-hand side, put a waterproof coating on that was really needed that was never applied originally. This is the drain on the interior. We fully replaced that with a new cast iron drain, and like I mentioned earlier, addressed the ventilation, doing it in a concealed manner, and we looked at this with our material scientists too, but we increased the ventilation at the top, which you can't see. We put a below-grade areaway that's going to be flush with the plaza and the landscaping in the future, and that gives you access through a ventilated door into the monument too, so the monument can be monitored during its life and what the conditions are to make sure something like this can be caught early if anything occurs in the future. In addition with that, Pam with ATI with her team is installing humidity sensors inside, so those can be monitored remotely anytime on the monument. We then started reinstalling stone by stone. The stones were actually patched and conserved off-site on the ground and then brought back up individually. You can see here too, we had a lot of missing anchors and poor anchoring. Some stones had no anchors, so we put in brand new stainless steel anchors, and we used the exact same holes that were there previously on the marble to anchor them in place. Just wanted to show you a few slides on the patching. It's kind of hard to see, but on the left here, there is a huge area that was damaged. Center, you can see kind of in progress, the patching, and the right-hand side, that's fully patched. And I have to say, the gentleman, one person who was doing all the patching, one of the best craftsmen I've ever seen in 40 years, honestly. I mean, we would be up next to these patches, and they would have to, a lot of times, show us where they are. We couldn't even see them, so pretty incredible job. Here you can see on the left and the bottom the damage that's occurring on that stone. On the right, the upper right stone is that stone in place, fully restored. Once again here, more damage on marble and the granite at the base, patched in the center. You just can't tell it was ever damaged, honestly. This is one of the more unique places. We actually had a stone that was very damaged, horizontal, about 8 feet long and very narrow. We restored every stone here, by the way, and didn't use any new stone. It's all the original stone on the monument. That one, we actually harvested some stone off the back of one of the larger blocks and put it in place. Once again, can't tell that this was done. Last stone was installed in place just, wow, probably a week and a half ago. And we just finished our punch list. They're taking the scaffolding down actually this week. I just heard this morning that it's all down. And next Tuesday at 10 a.m. is actually the rededication. So it'd be great if so you could make it too. I can't wait to see it myself, fully uncovered.
That's great.
So if you have any questions.
You had any, or to the other commissioners, no question. You had any issues with the general public?
No, right at the beginning of the project, I have to say there was definitely eyes on it, and we heard about things, but I never really saw it myself on site. And I've heard it's been actually, nothing that I know of. I mean, maybe Pam, you can address it, but.
Chairman, now, I would say that we really haven't had any public issues at all because we've had that 24/7 cameras. And so anyone, even any of you, could have watched the work being done 5 days a week and then watch it 24/7. So it's been a great project. And I hope everyone will come and see how beautiful the Georgia marble looks. After the steam cleaning and the laser cleaning, you can see the crystal fragments in the Georgia marble. It's beautiful. And the detail in the carving is just beautiful.
Thank you. Given the challenges at the beginning of this, I just wanted to make certain we hadn't found any bodies yet.
Mr. Chairman?
Hello.
Hello. I just wanted to thank all of you. This was a structure in which we took a particular interest, and so we really appreciate all of your efforts. It looks beautiful.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The battleship here. All right, but
One more?
no more? Okay. Have that in all the notes. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Tim Basin with West East Design in San Antonio. So you'll recall that the Education Center is really built around the historic.
Can you, yeah,
Ah, is that better? Okay.
we'll find out.
All right, so the Education Center is built around the historic Alamo Hall, built in 1936 as a WPA project. And the hall is, in this rendering, it can be seen in the center right side, and you'll see that in the photos. So we talked a little bit about the children's entrance, and if you were right where that rendering was, let me go back for a second. Right where you would be standing in that rendering to your left is the children's gate into the gardens. And so they're really escorted right to the door almost. And then there's a waiting area. You can see some seating areas around the tree. And so as they come off the bus and are waiting to be assembled and brought into the building, that's where they can congregate. So you can see that our construction is dried in, and the limestone masonry is up. A little bit of the cement panels that are on the second floor are not there. So when you look at the second floor in the picture, it looks the same color as the stone. It of course is going to have a wood look cement panel that's much darker. So you can, if you can imagine that kind of receding back. And just another angle. In the foreground, you can see where a gardens piece, this is not our project, but the gardens will have a demonstration garden with an acequia right down the middle. So that's what that structure in the foreground is. And you can see that the Alamo Hall is still being protected. So it's where you see the strand board panels over the Alamo Hall. Just a reminder that on the first floor, as you enter on the top right, you come into an orientation theater that you're seeing to the top right as well. And then the Alamo Hall itself has 4 classrooms in it, and then the west extension has a STEAM, or a STEM plus art STEAM lab, and an early learners lab. So we'll see some pictures. So you can see the rendering of the orientation theater to the left, and the bottom right is current construction condition in that room. It's actually a little bit more advanced since that picture. And then the top right is the terrazzo flooring in the new portions of the building. And there's a map in the floor that really demonstrates, this is a Gallagher piece that was incorporated into the terrazzo floor. That shows all of the mission locations in the river. Rendering top left of the Alamo Hall. It's an open classroom that can be divisible into 4 areas with furniture and just the current construction there. You can see to the left one of the arches that was in the original building and now opens into the west addition. A rendering of the STEAM lab, and you can see in the bottom foreground where the Lego model will be. There's a Lego model of the entire Alamo complex, and so that will find a new home in that location. And that's what that space looks like today. And then again, this is an exposed wall of the existing Alamo Hall that was up against the DRT library that was taken down. And so this wall was re-exposed, and so it's being cleaned and restored. And that will be, as you see it, exposed into that STEAM lab. The second floor are all offices, and then there's a conference and library space. Here to the right, you see the wonderful view from that second floor office. It looks right over the Alamo, and towards the north of the city. And so that, what you're seeing in reality on the right is the rendering in the top left. And then, boy, it's hard to see from here, but the conference space then is rendered to the bottom left, and the current space as it exists today. And that's our update for construction on the event center. Are there any questions?
Is the acequia, is that operational? And if so, where does it flow to? Or is it recycled?
It recycles, so it's incomplete. It's like 4
Use the
different
mic,
basins
please.
for plants. Yeah. So it is functional, but it is like a fountain. But there is an actual valve, just like the original acequia had. And then will be actually planted, and so the kids can actually see how the water would flow through.
We learned yesterday that that train will stop anything we're saying.
Yeah.
I guess it's gone. Go ahead.
Okay, so are we ready for the event center then?
Yep.
Okay, great. So the Alamo Event Center, of course, is the current gift shop, and which will be turned into an event center. There is just one large public space on the first floor in that building, and so it's perfect for that purpose, and we will be doing a very light touch. You're seeing the current existing conditions at the exterior of the building. It is a 1936 centennial project in the Mission Revival style. You can see that the stone needs a little attention, cleaning, and then we'll be doing repointing and some minor patching. There are some previous patches that are non-conforming, and as an alternate, we will be replacing those patches as well. So we are, like any construction project, under a budget, and so we're going to do the best we can with the funds that we have. Likewise, the lead-covered copper barrel vaulted roof is also in a condition that it really needs to be replaced. It is not leaking, thank goodness, but it is at the end of its life, and so it really needs to be replaced with a in-kind copper roof. However, again, because of the budget, we'll have a base scope that is to rehabilitate in place, to replace the flashings around the perimeters of it and the drainage of it, and then with an alternate to replace the roof. Looks like I'm stuck here. There we go. So you're looking over the main public space on the photos on the right. So there's a very large 2-story vaulted space that runs through the center, and then there's lower side aisles that have groin vaults. This space is really in almost pristine condition. We'll be, of course, cleaning it up. And it has existing light fixtures in the larger 2-story space. And then in the smaller space, we have one existing fixture and a lot of ceiling fans that were replaced. We're lucky, though, to have the same manufacturer of those lights still in business in San Antonio, and they're going to reproduce the other ones and replace them.
Is that Voss?
That's Voss. Mm-hmm. And so we have even the original drawings from Voss. It's a little hard to tell here. We're showing the proposed plan. There are smaller back of house spaces to the north and south, which are east and west in this plan. And so on the east end, those spaces will be converted into a bridal suite. And on the upper right, there's a space there that will be converted into a grab-and-go cafe. Also internal to the office, we're calling it a come-and-take-it cafe instead of grab-and-go. And then this illustrates what that grab-and-go will be like. So there's an existing arch there, and the doorway that you're seeing there does not exist today. That can be opened up to create the space that you're seeing in the lower left. And so all of the store fixtures fit within that space, and so when you have an event, it all closes up into that space. This door is similar but more contemporary, flatter detailing than the original doors that are at the entries, and so it blends well into the space, but it also distinguishes itself as something new. That was just a glimpse of what that cafe looks like. There is one small opening in the door on the bottom right, or the space in the bottom right is a back of house kind of small office originally to the museum. And that door opening is being removed and widened a little bit so that we can get the store fixtures in that space. So the second story really has, again, back of house spaces, probably would have been used for the museum administration during its original use. Now one end is used as the main campus IT space, and it will remain that. There are a lot of original details in there that will be undisturbed. The basement was expanded in 1992. That was the only really renovation major that has happened to the building, other than just to outfit it with store fixtures. Those spaces will be gutted, and that will be our back of house, our public restrooms, a pantry kitchen, and mechanical spaces, as well as a groom's room.
Will there be an elevator to go to there?
There's an existing elevator that there's an existing elevator that we will modernize, and so we're able to modernize it in place. We're fortunate that the cab is just barely accessible for task requirements. And that's just some images of the basement spaces. And I'm sorry it's a little hard to see today. Are there any questions about the renovation?
I have one. So you said the copper roof is at end of life, so you're going to do flashing and whatever. So what does that really mean? Like,
Okay.
when does it have to get replaced? I mean,
Well, that's a good question. So you saw the condition of it. We did have WJE look at the roof. Their determination is that the laminations, when the edges have been peeled back several times to redo the flashings, and that copper is just about to give from having to be bent.
so you're going to do kind of a workaround, and then there's going to have to be a new roof
Right. So
in the probably foreseeable future, would you say?
It depends on funding, of course, and so.
Unless it all leaks, I
And
mean,
so
that's
we're
my
going to do the
question.
best. We
Yeah.
are putting an alternate in it, so we will design the replacement and so that it can be priced. And then we would all like to see it replaced. in
Okay,
kind.
thank you.
I think so.
All right, if no further questions.
Wow, but it's a big number.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any more on the Alamo?
Hopefully.
All right. We will move to the Battleship Texas, the Battleship Texas Foundation. As soon as, there's a technical change here.
Batteries.
Oh.
There we go, we're good.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, and AED members. I'm Travis Davis, Vice President of Ship Operations and Chief Operating Officer for the Battleship Texas Foundation. Here today to update you on our existing permits that we have open with the Commission and the future ones that we'll be seeking early next year. I'm speaking on behalf of Dr. Michael Strutt from TPWD Cultural Resources and Rodney Franklin, Director of State Parks for TPWD, as they are the permit holders. So the first permit that we had before you guys, way back in 2022, was to pull the ship out of San Jacinto to safely prepare the ship to tow and tow it to Galveston to be repaired. To do that, we were permitted to install roughly 750,000 gallons of expanded foam into the tanks of the ship to displace water, to keep water from leaking in, and to make some access points to do that. Since then, all those, the foam has been removed, all those access points have been closed, and all those temporary measures have been reversed, aside from bringing the ship back to San Jacinto, which will not happen, sir.
I'll guarantee it.
To get rid of some of the gators.
The tow happened safely. It was very uneventful, and we were preparing for significant flooding. We had enough pumping capacity aboard the ship to basically pump out the volume equivalent of 1.5 times the internal volume of the ship in less than an hour. So we had a lot of capacity. We had a lot of stakeholders involved, including THC. And with the foaming, we went from pumping the equivalent of about 1,500 to 2,000 gallons of water a minute out of the ship down to less than 20 gallons a minute. And then during the tow, we had no significant water intrusion into the ship.
Wow.
So very, very successful operation. And that whole process, we had over 1 billion media impressions. So 1 billion people looked at it, the tow, at least once. So that was, again, very, very successful. The next permit that we had was 1041, which is for the hull repair and replacement of the ship's blister tanks. These blister tanks were added to the side of the ship in the mid-1920s to make it more robust for aerial torpedo defense. They've been problematic throughout the ship's entire life, and they were the main source of flooding for the ship sitting at San Jacinto. We replaced all of those blisters from just above the waterline down. So there's not a laser. There is a laser. Ha! The blisters start right here. Sorry for the shakiness of the distance. Blisters start right here, and then they run just above the waterline there. So in a picture in a minute, you'll see that we've removed those, rebuilt them, and put them back on.
Yeah.
And right now, the ship is substantially watertight. We put roughly 800 tons of steel on the ship and replaced, there's new steel on roughly 70% of the wetted surface of the hull. We've done a significant amount of work, more so than was done in 1988, which was really just triage to get us to this point. So, and that's the ship out of the water on September 1st, 2022. And what we found once we got the ship out of the water is, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a series of holes right here. Those are roughly the size of my hand. What we found is that the ship, the coatings that were put on the hull in 1989 were very much intact. I would say 98 to 99% intact, which was kind of surprising to me. With the amount of water that was coming into the ship, I was expecting to see holes everywhere. I mean, just Swiss cheese. And what we saw was there were very small holes, and the holes that were there were from where the ship had rested from the inside out. And that is from the ship being set up improperly as a museum ship in 1948, and the ship being very old and tired as a warship. Because she had 34 years of continuous service, which for a person doesn't seem like much, but for a ship of that age, it's a lot. So the ballasting plan, or the mooring plan in 48 was, they just pumped water, brackish channel water into the ship, and it just started rotting the guts of the ship out from 1948 all the way up to 1989, or 88 when she was towed. We removed all of the existing patches that were in place installed basically from around 2006 all the way up and through the tow. So there are no patches on the ship right now. Everything has been 100% repaired. So one of the things to point out is how bad and deteriorated the structure of the blisters were. This is the blister right here. It goes all the way up to that green line there, which is roughly the water line. The you can see it has a big dent in the side of the ship, and that is from just hydrostatic pressure pushing in the side of the ship. So the frames inside inside these blister tanks were very deteriorated, so just crushing it like a Coke can. And they were very lightly built to begin with, so that didn't help, because they weren't really built to last, at this point, almost 100 years. That's why we needed to go through and rebuild them. That's why we sought permitting from you to rebuild them. As we started pulling the skin off of these blisters, this is what we see. This is some of the framing here. There should be framing here. It's completely gone. Just absolutely crumbled and gone. This is all new framing, built on the same lines and basic dimensions. We did take some liberties from the original design, which again were permitted by THC and reviewed by staff. This is the stern of the ship. This area had the most damage out of every location on the ship. You can see where we pulled the blisters off here. That line right there is just above the water line. And then there's the blister here, and then you can see where the frame is for the blister. And then where it's dark right here, that's looking into the interior of the ship. The skin there was holed substantially, and that's all been replaced. The new blisters outside of the forward ends and the after ends of these tanks were built in modules, in about 20-ton modules, and then installed on the ship. They were built on site, then transported to the dry dock where the ship was at, and then installed onto the hull. You can kind of see how big they are in relation to the man basket. They're very substantial and significantly stronger than what was on the ship as built. And then this is what the ship looks like right before we undocked the ship. We spent 18 months on the dry dock and did a significant amount of work, as said. Additional permits that we have from you was permit 1043, which was restoration of macro objects of the ship's secondary battery, her 5-inch 51 guns, our anti-aircraft guns, and searchlights and things like that. We are in process of continuing that. The process is still ongoing. We have restored all 6 of the ship's 5-inch guns and have reinstalled them on the ship. Each one of those guns weighs about 26,000 pounds, and we had to bring them out through the gun ports, which is something that hasn't been done since the 1950s. We were very much having to kind of relearn old things and how to do them again. So it was a very learning experience, and we very much had an appreciation of how it was done in the shipyards in the 1920s and 30s and 40s. The additional permit that we have open right now, which we're in the process of closing out, is a restoration of the ship's superstructure. As part of that, we have reproduction. There's 97 reproduction objects. Most of these were done as in-kind donations by the community and vendors as part of their effort as this project. We are roughly 80% complete with that, and we are moving right along. So things such as these little baskets here, they're called floater net baskets. They held the primary life-saving devices on the ship. So they're just nets that had K-POC on them that would float clear of the ship if it sank, and the crew would crawl inside, right? So you have a crew of 1,800 men. There's not enough lifeboats for 1,800 people, right? So the things like the 20 millimeter barrel storage tubes. So the ship had 44 20 millimeter anti-aircraft guns. So we added all the accoutrements back to make the ship look more as a warfighter again, outside of the big 14-inch guns. And then antennas and things like this, so that were destroyed over the years by age, by time, or removed by the Navy before she left service. And then the next biggest scope of work that we had was repairs to the ship's superstructure. This project started as a $1.2 million project and is around $2.5 million right now, mostly because once we got access into the superstructure, we found so much more damage. And we had a federal matching grant for this project We exceeded the scope because we were there, we had the capital to do it, we completed the work. And as part of that, we removed the top of the ship as it was done in 1988 and repaired it much more substantially than it was done in 1988, which again was just triage. And with that process, we consulted with TPWD and with staff to make sure that we were within our scope of the permit. And then we will be reaching out to you guys in the next, or applying for additional permits over the next year. The first one will be in January of next year. We'll be applying for a permit for the ship's new home, to move the ship from the shipyard where she's at now to the ship's new home in Galveston. And then some additional permits for improvements on the inside for visitor amenities. So the ship hasn't had public restrooms since ever. I mean, so we are going to do a rehabilitation project to take the existing crew heads, keep the as historically accurate as possible, but also
Great job.
slightly modernize it so that the public can use it. So that the public will get the experience of using the restrooms on a 1914 battleship. So we're adding things like that, and it's all geared towards public accessibility and the long-term preservation of the ship. The ship has been around since 1914. We want to have another 111 years for the ship. So this is just as a preview of our permit application. We've negotiated with the Port of Galveston. Pier 15 is what we've agreed on with the Port of Galveston for the new home for Battleship Texas. It is a protected slip. It is out of the Galveston ship channel, which makes it much more safe from passing traffic, from hurricanes, and a lot of other risk factors like that. The port, once we came to agreement, they're in the process of updating their strategic master plan. And as part of that, they are leaning into the battleship being there. So right now, the whole area is kind of undeveloped. There's a cruise terminal that's actually opening next week. But the rest is largely undeveloped. The port is leaning into that, wanting to redevelop that area and create another economic center, as an anchor to the Strand as well. So you have the Strand on one end, and you have this new economic center on the other, with us as the anchor for that. So we are very, very excited about that, and it bodes well for the long-term success of the battleship. So as I mentioned, hurricane safety, our basic mooring criteria is that our mooring system has to survive 160-mile-an-hour wind and 19-foot storm surge, which is absolutely catastrophic for the locality. But the ship will still be there. We're largely reutilizing the existing mooring system that we used at San Jacinto, so there should be no impacts to the ship, which will require additional permitting for that specific thing. So, questions? Sorry, I wanted to end with the end of the ship, so.
I have a question, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
What a fascinating project, and thank you so much for telling us about it. I'm really interested in those blister tanks. Is that plate steel?
Yes.
Is it quarter-inch steel, or?
The shell was half-inch.
Oh, geez.
And the framing, it was 1/8 of an inch. It was very, very lightly built. So the denting, as the ship took on water over the years, water leaking into those tanks, and we pump it out. So what would end up happening is the shell would start flexing.
Yeah.
And because it's a riveted structure,
right.
It's a mechanical connection. Rivets would eventually start getting loose, which would then start accelerating the leakage, and then it just kept accelerating. So what we did is what had to happen. I don't think there was another way that we could move forward and keep the ship sustainable for the long term.
Thank you. So just, if the blister tanks are half-inch steel plate, how in the world does the thing float? Well,
when I asked our salvage master that once upon a time, I said, well, how does this float? He goes, well, the secret is you keep the air in
the tank
and the water out.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, well, thank you so much. Very interesting.
Quick question. So
Yes, sir.
for the long-term preservation that you were talking about, then tell me where the zincs are that would protect the hull of the steel and everything that,
Very, very good question. So the ship had an impress current cathodic protection system. So instead of using normal zincs, it's an anode array around the ship that pushes electricity into the water through a special anode. It's a little bit more effective than zincs because it allows it to, we can dial the current and make the protection much more specific to each area of the ship.
but if it's cathodic protection, it still needs to have something that goes around the coating. And what ohm would you be using to make sure that it covers all the material that's exposed to brackish or salt water?
That, again, good question. So we will have a 48 anode array around the ship, so it will go down. That will be one permit that we come forward because we are modifying that system to update it and make it much more robust than what was at San Jacinto. So, for instance, at San Jacinto there was a 4 anode array around the ship, which was sufficient enough based on all the testing, because we would test the potentials monthly to see if we were freely corroding or anything like that, and that system worked very well. We are, again, making it much more refined and much more robust than what we had in the past.
And how long will that system last? Because it needs replacement at some point in
The
time.
anodes would be replaced every few years. The system itself doesn't have to be replaced, but
Right.
the anodes are designed so that they can be replaced individually.
Good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's right, nice work.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
What is the revenue plan for maintaining the ship, the operations of it?
Well, step one was moving the ship to a location where we could get people there. I mean, at San Jacinto, the attendance on the ship was between, depending on what year, between 85 to 120,000 people.
Right.
So in Galveston, we've done an analysis with 2 different entities. One was Deloitte. We did another with our strategic master planner, and we're anticipating a range anywhere from 225 up to 385 in paid attendance every year. One of the other things that we will be doing as well is raising our ticket prices. So the CPWD, the desire was to make the ship much more accessible. We're in a
Right.
different model where we have to balance accessibility with revenue needs to keep the ship preserved over the long haul.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, we'll move on to our next item, which is an update on Battle Hall from University of Texas. Not sure.
Hi there.
There you go.
My name is Kim Barker. I'm the preservation planner for the University of Texas at Austin. Thank you for having me on Aggie Land. I've been the preservation planner for UT Austin for about 2.5 years. And so I'd like to tell you a little bit about Battle Hall, which is being considered for State Antiquities Landmark designation. Battle Hall was designed by Cass Gilbert. It was completed in 1911. Cass Gilbert had designed a couple of state capitals, and he also designed the U.S. Supreme Court building. It's now named for Dr. William Battle, who was chair of the Faculty Building Committee, chair of the Classics Department, and very instrumental in the building development of the campus in the 1920s, 30s, 40s. But the building was originally built as a library. It was the university's first purpose-built library. And it served as the library until main building and tower was completed in the 1930s, when that function moved over to the tower building. Cass Gilbert designed not only Battle Hall, but also Sutton, and these 2 buildings were architecturally different than anything that was built on the campus before. Cass Gilbert and Paul Cray and Herbert Green after him really developed this design that the university is now known for, with smooth stone walls, clay tile roofs, arched openings, and the integration of brick, although you don't see brick on this particular building. Battle Hall is located immediately southwest of main building and tower. In case you don't know, the exterior of main building and tower is currently being restored. It's looking absolutely gorgeous. Battle Hall exterior was also recently restored, with the exception of some stonework that wasn't done at that time. In addition to the exterior restoration of Battle Hall, we also recently completed a mechanical system replacement a couple of years ago. The roof was replaced, the soffit repainted, windows and doors restored, and all metalwork refinished on this building. All painted surfaces were matched to the original. All work met the Secretary of Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties, and the exterior looks great. The second floor retains its impressive reading room pictured here, but the interior needed attention before the building could be reopened after the exterior project that I just mentioned. So we're now underway on a substantial interior project. And Larry Ersick, who's here with us, is the architect for the interior project. The university provided notification to the Historical Commission under the Antiquities Code of Texas before we began this work. When we were notified that the building was under consideration for SAL designation, we went and applied for a permit, which we were thankful to receive, and that's permit number 1338 for the work that I'm about to tell you about. Some of the pictures are going to be kind of hard to see, but we'll do our best. The interior scope includes both rehabilitation and restoration activities, all of which meets the standards. We are replacing cloth-covered electrical wiring, mechanical distribution system. We're restoring the corridors, removing some non-original partition walls, and we're doing substantial cleaning throughout. We're also installing the building's first passenger elevator so that the reading room will be accessible to all now. These are photographs of the first floor corridor. On the left is a historic photograph showing the original appearance. When air conditioning was put into this building in the mid-20th century, it was done in a very incompatible way with the historic fabric. So that arch was cut, a lay-in ceiling was dropped in, and that's the photograph in the middle top. We are restoring that ceiling configuration. We've found, not me, but the design team has found a way to integrate mechanical ductwork in a way that will allow us to return that ceiling to its original configuration. So what you see in the middle bottom is that work in progress, starting the arch, and then on the right is new plaster in place in the location of the original arch, and we're going to be restoring or reinstalling pendant light fixtures, which will be similar to the light fixtures that you see in the historic photograph. We're also cleaning that marble and painting the ceiling and walls to match the original paint color. This is a photograph of the reading room on the left showing before work, and on the right, work in progress. A little tricky to see from here, but the stone walls were cleaned. They were very, very dirty from probably years of smoking and the windows being open and atmospheric contaminants coming in. So we cleaned the walls very carefully. We put in a light stain on the interior woodwork, restored and rewired the light fixtures, and we added some uplighting into the ceiling. So it's going to be much better than it was before the building closed down for the project. Here are some details of the work in the reading room. So you can see on the top left a mock-up of cleaning the area within the blue tape. On the top left and the bottom left are stones that have been cleaned. On the top left from atmospheric staining, on the bottom from tape residue. The middle top image is showing the light stain that's going on the woodwork. The bottom middle image is showing that we were refinishing the tabletops. These tables were originally built for our main building and tower, but they've been in use in Battle Hall for a long time. The top right image is showing old cloth-covered wiring that we've removed, and the bottom right image is showing the floor cleaning in process.
Put a gem in it.
These images are showing the integration of the passenger elevator. We're doing this in a way that takes advantage of the bookstack elevator that was constructed with the original building. So the design team has found a way to utilize the historic elevator as a vestibule for the new elevator. All of the paint that was covering glass and the doors on the old elevator have been stripped off, so we're returning those to the original finishes, and we'll create an opening into the old vestibule, the old elevator, to make that a vestibule. So the image here on the left is showing the original elevator painted. The middle image is showing the original elevator in orange and the new elevator in blue. And the image on the right is showing that restoration of the old elevator structure in progress. We are also working on the grand stair in the building, putting more appropriate light fixtures in place and doing some cleaning work here. Another feature that I'm so excited to get rid of is this non-original partition up at the top of the grand stair that has plexiglass panels in it. So we'll be removing this as part of our scope of work. This image is showing you in blue all of the non-original partition walls that we're removing on the lower level in order to expand the configuration of the rooms to their original footprint and take better advantage of those grand spaces. We have 2 architecture studios moving into the building, so it will be a classroom building, an office building, and a library building when we reopen. Here's photographs showing the work that we're doing in some of those first floor rooms that had drop ceilings. We're removing the drop ceilings and going back up to the original height. The photograph on the right is what will be one of the new architecture studios. All of that is really great work. We're really excited about it. The building will reopen this winter. The elevator is running a little bit later, so that will come in after we reopen. And then once the elevator is in place, we'll move the library books back in. So we'll be fully functional in the spring. There are some things that we have not been able to get to yet, so if you come to campus and you see things like this stonework that needs attention, know that we also know that, and we're working to address that under a future permit should the building be designated as an SAL. That's all I have for you. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much for coming, and it's a lovely project. Decades ago, I worked with the firm that had the contract to do the 3 buildings, and I volunteered to work on Goldsmith in hopes that I could work on Battle, and I never got to, but I'm so glad to see the project is being done. I wanted to confirm the university has no concern about the SAL designation.
We take no exception to the
Great.
nomination.
Thank you so much.
May I ask another question? The Architectural Archives, is it being relocated? I haven't kept up with the project as close programmatically, but will it stay in the building or is it to go somewhere else?
No, it's returning to the building. So the building was closed down a few years ago for the interior work. They had to temporarily relocate to the collections deposit library, but they'll be coming back in as soon as we get the elevator in place.
That's great news. I think it's the appropriate place for it, so wonderful.
I have a question. In the mechanical room for the elevator, will that be accessible from the inside or from the outside? I mean, how are you going to get to that?
The elevator is accessible from the inside of the building.
The mechanical room?
Yes, Larry is nodding his head. Is in the basement.
So it'll be below. Okay. And then the HVAC, if you're putting back a curved ceiling, will you be running, obviously, ducts down the left side or the right side?
They're
Of
actually,
the curve?
they're squished above the curve.
Yeah.
And then we've got additional ducts in the rooms adjacent to the corridor.
And they're using linear diffusers then?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I was just curious about the naming of it. It will remain Battle Hall, correct?
As far as I know, it will remain Battle Hall. The architecture library was recently named for John Chase, but as far as I know, Battle Hall will retain its name. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. For the commission, logistically, we're going to cover the update on San Jacinto very quickly, and then we will take a break. So get through this one last item and get there. So, Mr. Gallagher, you're between us and a bathroom. So.
Second.
Just say it.
I want to give you all an update on where we are with San Jacinto Monument restoration and new visitor center. We've moved through the master planning phase and budgeting phase and have just now moved into the first conceptual planning for the new visitor center that will be connected to the monument. And we're working to refill the slip where the battleship was. If you ever have to remove a fish pond from your house, don't hire the Army Corps. We're there about 50% design for the construction of the seawall that will allow us to fill that back in, but it's an enormously long project. So I think we'll finish everything else, and then the slip will be refilled. One of the most important factors for rework on this site has been to really connect the Texian camp to the Mexican camp and really bring the visitor along the lines, the troop movement. And that's what you're looking at in this plan is the Texian camp is off to the left and the Mexican camp to the right. These were such important locations on the landscape that we are going to be removing the reflecting pool and restoring the landscape to the appropriate era so that the visitors will actually be able to follow the troop movement from the Texian camp to the Mexican camp. So one of the really driving forces for this project is to restore the natural landscape and to allow the visitors to much more understand the events of the battle. And I think that not only are we allowing them to follow that troop movement, we're reworking an entire new road network that will allow visitors to navigate the site in their car. There'll be pull-offs along the way so they can stop at very significant points of the battle. They can walk it as well, but part of the new road network is an opportunity for us to connect the surrender site, which you can see is all the way up at the right. That's a new connection to the current landscape. And then all the landscape itself will be, the current landscaping material will all be removed and we'll be working toward a natural landscape and reinstalling all the, what would have been plant materials out there that would have been natural to the period of time. And I'll show you how we're proposing some of the work. We are keeping the main entry road, the formal main entry road that comes into the site to the arrival of the monument. We did a study to determine where to put the new visitor center. We are putting, here's a view from this is a pull-off as you come into the main entrance so that you can see the formal view of the monument itself. We did a study to determine where was the appropriate location for the new visitor center and determined that it will be at the back of the monument. There's a large grassy outdoor amphitheater, so the new visitor center will be placed there and pushed below grade as far as we can go to the water table. By the first quarter meeting next year, we'll be bringing in the concept plan for the new visitor center so that you get to see how those integrate and how they're going to work. Part of it has to do with positioning views, moving all the interpretive into the new visitor center, restoring the monument, replacing the elevator, restoring the lobbies, restoring all the public spaces, as well as some of the upstairs, what are currently a library, as a conference area, so that all the interior renovations will be to bring the monument back to its original footprint and its original function. We're beginning to look at work for interpretation in the new visitor center, so the interpretation for the battle itself becomes the main driver for how they are planning the circulation through the new visitor center to the monument. The monument itself will be interpreted on the inside as to the historic nature of the creation of the monument, and then with the new elevator, visitors will be able to access the overlook, which is a pretty spectacular view from the top of the monument, and you won't have to go by an elevator that's the size of a pill capsule at this point. It will be a full capacity handicapped elevator. And then just an aerial view, this is a view from the Texian camp, so you can see how important it's going to be for us to visually connect the Texian camp to the Mexican camp and get visitors to be able to make that journey. We're working with the landscape architects to determine the best way to open up those battle lines. Probably will be done through the manipulation of the landscape, cutting pathways through, adding interpretation. We'll be adding some full-scale monuments and sculpture work out there. So there is interpretation as they move from the Texian camp all the way to the Mexican camp. So it's been an incredibly important move to really think about how we can connect these landscapes together, because without doing that, you don't understand the events of the battle there. So the opportunity here to really bring outdoor interpretation as well as indoor interpretation with the new visitor center will really breathe new life into the San Jacinto Monument. And we'll be bringing updates of all the design of the visitor center and the landscape planning as we move through the process with the commission.
Patrick, thank you. I want to expound on one comment he made. I said this to the commission yesterday, but general public, we are going to have to remove the reflecting pond. 2 reasons. One, it's a favorite spot of some local alligators. And you see families with dogs picnicking along that side. I'm just surprised we haven't lost a dog or 2. Second, with the pond there, you cannot accurately reflect what happened on the battle, as Patrick said. Oh yeah, there's our buddy. So there, we presented this to the Battlefield 501c3. They understand what the objective is here. Some comments, but nothing negative. So Patrick, as far as I think we're concerned,
Yeah, I
keep
would note
going.
that the pond, reflecting pond was not original to the construction of the monument. It was later added. We have not made the determination how we will take the pond out. The early indications are that we'll simply drain it and fill it and keep the basin itself. So there will be some, at least, memory of the reflecting pool there, but it is sinking every day, and they're investing an enormous amount of money just to keep the water. in
Patrick, do you
the
think there's a
reflecting pool.
chance you can take that in pieces and help fill in the battleship hole?
Who has some fill that needs a place to dump it. I've got a big hole. It's the most expensive hole I've ever filled.
Patrick, you talked about interpretation on the battlefield. As you're planning, has there been any consideration given to a potential reenactments on that site?
There is, the reenactments will be possible on the site. It won't be staffed with reenactors at this point. But if someone would want to do reenacting out there, we're gonna
They'll be
allow
able
specific locations on the landscape for that to happen.
Okay, great, thank you.
Patrick?
Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you very much for your attention to the landscape of the Texian advance, because it had a lot to do with the battle. But one of the principal things that it did was it kept the Texian troops hidden for quite a while. And I think it had something to do with the height of the grass.
It is.
But also, there might have been a berm that was between, it may be actually where the monument is, but I think there was a berm involved in that too, and the Mexicans never saw them up to a certain point.
Not to get into detail, but you'll find it interesting. The landscape architects are doing a lot of research through all the documentation that they can find to really bring back anything that was in the landscape. But we are restoring it to the landscaping material to the period of time, which is also going to be an interesting new opportunity for interpretation, because bringing back all that natural material is also going to bring back birds, it's going to bring back insects, bring back things that aren't there now, because the landscape has been so groomed. It's probably one of the largest lawn mowing jobs in the state. So bringing back the natural landscape and natural materials that were there will help people understand the advantages that the Texians had in their approach to the Mexican camp.
Well, thanks for your attention to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Joint AAB, I'm going to turn it over to you folks.
Okay, we have next.
I've just been reminded we need a break.
Okay.
So because of the clock and the events at Washington on the Brazos, we're on a tight timeline. So we're going to take a 10-minute break and we'll get started. All right? Thanks.
Wowzers. You know, it's going to be noon before.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll start in 2 minutes. Well, that brought the noise level down. Hey, one other thing, there was
You
I
didn't
told
say
them,
you're gonna do it
the
at the next
bellmen
meeting?
to notify them, but
Because I
would you
think we're
follow
really
up,
running-
just
gonna
make
run
sure
out of
it's
time.
formal? Gentlemen, 1 minute. If we could find our seats, please.
Thank you.
I think we are going to the joint AAB meeting.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Take it away.
Thank you. Next up is a discussion and possible action to amend historic structures permits at the Alamo San Antonio, and I'm going to turn it over to Elizabeth.
Not on.
No.
Not on. Now you.
Okay, better. All right, good morning, Commissioners and Antiquities Advisory Board members. My name is Elizabeth Brummett. I'm the Director of the Division of Architecture. And I will be very quick on these two permit requests related to the Alamo because they are both very straightforward. In August of 2023, the Commission and Antiquities Advisory Board authorized this permit for the transformation of Alamo Hall into the new Cavalier Education Center building. And you heard a great presentation on how that project is going earlier this morning. This is a proposal to amend that permit and add a rooftop trellis to an outdoor deck to make that more inviting as a facility rental and just generally more usable. So I've got a few slides with images of what is being proposed, and it's relatively unobtrusive, but given that it is a visible exterior change to this project, we felt it was best to bring it back to you for consideration. So this is an aerial rendering that gives you a sense of where that proposed trellis is going. We have the Alamo Hall itself right here. That's the historic building. The remainder of this is new construction. So the trellis is going on top of an addition to the building, not on top of the historic building itself. And it will not be visible from the plaza in front of the Alamo. There's sufficient tree coverage that you're really not going to be seeing this new feature. And so we always bring to you two options for motions, but I should be clear that staff has no concerns regarding this.
Okay, to the AAB, there are two options, possible motions. Do we have a motion from the AAB?
Yes, ma'am. Move to send forward to the commission and recommend authorizing the executive director or his designee to amend historic buildings and structures antiquities permit number 1237 for the construction of a trellis shade structure on the Texas Cavalier Education Center, Alamo Hall, the Alamo, San Antonio, Bexar County.
Second. Okay, thank you. We have, a motion has been made and it has been seconded. Is there any debate or discussion on the approval?
Was there conversation about this being perhaps the most contemporary component of the new architecture that I'm aware of that has been built recently or is yet to be finished? To me, it struck me as, again, a statement of its era that may or may not have lasting power. We don't even really know. I guess the architects could address modeling about the effectiveness of the shading. It does seem to be quite tall, and I think sun that comes through the trees will get through it. So I'm wondering if it's really going to be that effective for what it's going to do in terms of a visual statement to the rest of the campus. How did staff approach that in conversations?
We looked at it more in terms of the form and massing rather than necessarily the effectiveness of that. But I'd be happy to. I know Tim Beiston is still here, I believe, and could potentially address that if you would like.
Anyway, it was the one thing that struck me. The next thing is we've come back and maybe want to put a solid roof on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then one step next is we want to glaze it in to have air conditioning so the kids can have lunches. So it's opening the door to something that was never envisioned. And so I'm not real excited about it. Just wanted to state that.
Of course.
Are there any other comments?
Yeah, Madam Chair, not to be contrary, Rick, but but I felt that the design showed an attention to detail that I appreciated. I really thought that the tapering of the rafters and the purlins was quite lovely, and I think that the placement of the shade structure is intended to visually blend in with the new building construction and sort of minimize its physical impact. So I thought it was well handled. I didn't get out my, solar modeling calculator to see how effective it will be, but
Right.
I think that they balanced appropriately the challenges before them and came up with something that I think is a delicate and handsome addition.
And it's difficult to see, and the renderings they're so far to the ends of the room. There is a solid portion immediately adjacent to the building, so there's an area of retreat if there were a rainstorm, or to, I believe, help facilitate if there's a catered event there as well, and then it's a more perforated trellis further out.
And I would say, to be uncontrary, that I share the concern about eventually being asked to put a solid roof or eventually being asked to enclose that. I think that the shade structure is a nice addition. Stop.
Okay, is there any other further comment?
Madam Chair, quick question. So the material that you'll use for the trellis itself, what would that be, number one? Number two, so for longevity purposes, and number two, the narrower the trellis, as you know, the more shade that you'll get to address the point that's necessary. And I think it's absolutely a brilliant idea, quite frankly, because of where the sun is. If not, you're just going to have to hand out sunscreen as everybody goes up there. So that's a good thing. And also, potentially, you could look at, the ability to have the columns themselves be tall enough that if someday that you did decide, or someone decided in 50 years or 100 years from now to enclose that, then you already have the column structure already in place that goes with a trellis on top.
So in terms of the material, the trellis is a painted galvanized steel, and then the, excuse me, the solid portion is a tongue and groove wood deck on the underside. I believe it will have a roofing membrane over top.
Okay. And then if it's a wood deck, is it a wood that's a mesquite, or is it cedar or pecan, or is it something that's going to be a long-lasting material? Douglas fir. Okay, because you won't want to use a softwood because you're going to be looking at replacing that in 20 to 30 years. Okay. Well, anyway, just consider it, because you have so many native woods that are hardwoods that could potentially last a lot longer, are coated appropriately. Thank you. Appreciate it. Nice work.
Okay, any other further comment? Okay, now on behalf of the AAB Board.
Did we want to, your call?
Yes. Yeah. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
No.
The ayes have it, and the motion passes. On behalf of the THC Commission, the motion was to send forward to the commission and recommend authorizing the executive director or his designee to amend Historic Buildings and Structures Antiquities Permit number 1237 for the construction of a trellis shade structure. And the motion from the AAB board was to move that forward and make that recommendation. Do we have a motion from the commission?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Our next permit is for repointing of the Alamo Garden walls, which were constructed between 1912 and 1915 during the Daughters of the Republic of Texas stewardship of the Alamo site. Over the years, the walls have been repointed several times with a heavy cementitious mortar, and some stones have more than 50% of their stone surface covered, while other areas are missing mortar completely, allowing water infiltration. So the preservation of these walls appropriately is really important as part of the overall landscape package for this project. We will see the landscaping that will be surrounding the walls that will come forward as a future permit to the Antiquities Advisory Board and Commission. This is just the preservation of the walls in advance of any further landscape work in this area. The Alamo Trust is proposing to establish a masonry apprenticeship program in collaboration with the masonry firm Shadrock and Williams, whose lead mason teaches masonry cleaning and restoration to apprentices. ATI will also be working with the Texas Mason Council and the San Antonio Masonry Contractors Association, who offer training programs. So this is really kind of an innovative approach to handling this project. In terms of the technical details, there will be masonry cleaning field trials to determine the appropriate cleaning methodology. That will be reviewed with staff before the work proceeds. In terms of the repointing, those mortar joints will be scraped out to a maximum depth of 2 inches under the oversight of Pam Rosser, the Alamo conservator. And then the mortar will be repointed using a lime-based mortar that has been pre-approved for use at the Alamo site. This work will extend to 12 inches below grade, which is the extent that work can go without requiring any archaeology permit.
Okay, go ahead.
Are these blocks, did they stack?
It's limestone.
And are they doweled currently?
No, it's just a load-bearing masonry wall.
Elizabeth, when did you say they were built?
Between 1912 and 1915. So historic age, but not historic to the period that we are most interested in interpreting.
Okay, for the AAB, there are 2 suggested motions. Do we have a motion?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. I move to send forward to the commission and recommend authorizing the executive director or his designee to approve Historic Buildings and Structures Antiquities Permit number 1356 for the preservation of Alamo Garden Walls, the Alamo, San Antonio, Bexar County.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so it's moved and seconded. Is there any further debate or discussion?
I'll just say I think it's really exciting. I really appreciate the thought to create an apprenticeship program. And I'm really excited about getting that Portland cement-based mortar out of there. So. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, on behalf of the commission, we have just heard the recommendation. There are two motions, I believe, for the commission.
Wait, you need to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry,
You
I'm
need to-
sorry, I got ahead, I'm sorry. Okay, so those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, say no. Motion passes, and thank you for the correction. And now we move to the full commission. So the AAB board did recommend that we send forward and recommend authorizing the executive director or his designee to approve historic buildings and structures antiquities permit number 1356 for the preservation of the Alamo Garden Walls, the Alamo, San Antonio, Texas. There are two suggested motions for the THC commission. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we move to authorize the executive director or his designee to approve historic buildings and structures antiquities permit number 1356 for the preservation of the Alamo Garden Walls, the Alamo. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, this takes us to the next item, which is regarding permitting and compliance issues at Fair Park. Staff recently became aware of these issues and sent a letter to the City of Dallas on October 3rd requesting permit applications for work that had proceeded without a permit, and further requesting that the city representatives appear at this meeting. And we do have multiple representatives from the City of Dallas, the State Fair of Texas, and the preservation architect involved, all present. So to lead into this, I will walk through background on Fair Park, the specific issues at hand, and where we are in the permitting process for resolving those issues before introducing the speakers from the City of Dallas. The Texas Centennial Exposition buildings at Fair Park were constructed for the 1936 to 1937 World's Fair. In addition to the iconic Art Deco architecture designed by George Dahl, Fair Park is nationally significant for its urban design and monumental artwork and sculpture. The campus is one of the largest intact groupings of historic exposition buildings remaining in the U.S., and it continues in use for the State Fair of Texas. Fair Park was designated as a state antiquities landmark in 1984 and became a National Historic Landmark, the highest level of designation available for historic properties in 1986. The SAL designation encompasses a historic district with over 30 contributing buildings and multiple significant landscape features. The two that we'll talk about today are the Tower Building, which is listed among the district's most significant and monumental historic buildings constructed for the Centennial Exposition. The Cotton Bowl was a pre-existing building incorporated into the exposition and is also considered a contributing resource despite alterations. Although the City of Dallas has a very strong track record of compliance with nearly 80 historic buildings and structures permits issued for work at Fair Park since its designation, THC staff recently became aware of compliance issues where work was completed without the required permits. Advertising signage was added to the Tower Building during the State Fair, which you can see, where is the pointer? See to the left-hand side here. And major work was completed at the Cotton Bowl Stadium without a permit. I'll start with an overview of the work to the Cotton Bowl. Fair Park First and the preservation architect on the project met with THC staff in July of 2023, but we did not subsequently receive a permit application before work began. The project was completed with a ribbon-cutting ceremony held on September 20th in advance of the Texas OU game in October. Following our letter, staff received and reviewed a comprehensive permit application for this major project. And in short, the work meets the standards for rehabilitation, and we anticipate issuing a retroactive permit for this work. I'll go a little bit into the details of the design because it is an unusual project and I want you to understand how we reached our conclusions. The Cotton Bowl was built in 1930, predating the Centennial Exposition. As you can see in the historic photograph on the left, it was initially one tier of seating. In 1948, a second tier of seating and the iconic frontispiece were added to the building. The second tier was later expanded to connect the two sides. And despite this doubling of the 46,000 seats present in 1949, circulation remained the same, which is the key issue that this project was seeking to resolve. In 1994, the front wall of the stadium was expanded outward by 20 feet. You can see that line right here. This whole front piece was moved outward in order to provide additional amenity space for the stadium.
Elizabeth, could I trouble you to point your laser?
Yes, so if I can see where it is. There we.
The laser will not work on the TV.
Oh,
Okay.
pardon me. That's why.
I thought I had bad aim. Okay. Well, it is.
Would you like me to point at things?
You can just point
Yeah.
down there. I'll
Okay.
look this way.
There is a line right here.
I see.
Vanna White.
Thank you, Paige. The main scope of the work for the project was expansion of the concourse to address life safety concerns. Before this work was performed, it took over 45 minutes to evacuate the stadium, which could be a major concern if there were a safety issue. The target is under 15 minutes, and that is now possible with the work that was performed. Also, the ramps that make up the circulation did not meet ADA requirements, and so those needed to be removed in their entirety. So here we have the finished product. To address the challenges for the circulation, the front elevation was expanded outward in order to create additional circulation space with the ramps replaced by elevators and escalators. Typically, we would not consider an addition to the front of a historic building to be an appropriate intervention, but a stadium is not a typical building. To gain further insights into how to apply the standards for rehabilitation to a project of this nature, our staff spoke with Brian Gokin, the Chief of Technical Preservation Services at the National Park Service. He pointed us to two stadium projects that had received federal historic tax credits, Wrigley Field and Fenway Park, as examples to consider. He also discussed with us the parameters we should consider in evaluating a project of this nature. One of the most significant features of this stadium, and really of any stadium, is what it feels like to experience a game in this setting. And that continuous sweep of seats and the feeling when you're inside the Cotton Bowl is really what is most critical to preserve. Any expansion of the concourse other than outward would have impacted that experience within the stadium. Another mitigating factor is the amount of change the stadium has experienced over time. The project brought the concourse out to the line of that 1994 expansion while holding the overall height of the extension, the portion that was added, lower to allow the 1948 wall to remain visible from the exterior. So I'll point again. Wrong button. So the added piece is right here. That's the circulation space. There are these knuckles at the ends that provide for the elevator overruns, but this main section that was added is held below the top of the 1948 wall. And it's brought that section out to where this front facade is to make that a continuous sweep right here.
Thank you, Paige.
Okay. And on the interior, much of the historic wall remains visible within this expanded space. And so overall, based on the constraints of this project and kind of the unusual character of this building, the number of changes as it has experienced over time, staff finds this to be a thoughtfully considered project. The second compliance issue is the installation of temporary signage. What caught our attention was this very prominent sign on the right-hand image on the tower building. But this is among an array of signs that are installed on a temporary basis during the State Fair of Texas and other major events.
We've asked for and are awaiting a retroactive permit application for this particular sign, which has already been removed after the state fair. We're seeking to understand the installation methods, whether there was damage to the historic wall from the installation, and if so, how that damage was repaired. As part of the ordinance that designates the Fair Park as a City of Dallas Historic District, temporary signage is exempted from local review. However, that does not address the need to either coordinate individually on projects with our office or to seek some sort of a programmatic resolution for temporary signage. Our staff met with a representative of the State Fair, Delaney Granberry, who you heard from earlier, on Monday to discuss the information we need in order to understand the State Fair's overall signage program. The goal is to establish either a long-term permit for signage or an exemption for certain types of temporary signage to facilitate compliance going forward. Finally, before I turn it over, I'd like to acknowledge the City of Dallas and the State Fair's efforts to coordinate with our office following receipt of this letter. We've received permit applications or preliminary consultation for multiple upcoming projects. So there is definitely an effort to course correct at this juncture. So with that, I'd like to introduce Marcus Watson, who is the Historic Preservation Officer for the City of Dallas, and he in turn will introduce other speakers. Thank you.
Madam Chair? Madam Chair?
That's you, Kay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is Norman Alston.
Yes. Oh, this
I know.
way. Okay.
I'm down here.
Down here. I'm looking, no it.
Okay, Madam Chair, I need to recuse from this item, and I wish to address the commission on behalf of the Cotton Bowl issue.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Austin. Please note for the record that Norman Austin has recused himself.
Good morning, Chairman Now and Commissioners and AAB members. I am Marcus Watson. I am the Historic Preservation Officer for the City of Dallas. I am mainly here to answer questions that as to the best of my abilities, and to assure you that our office is working with the stakeholders out at Fair Park, with the State Fair of Texas and the Dallas Parks Department, to make sure that we don't have any more glitches in our program going forward. I'm also here to then introduce my colleagues who came with me today to speak on this. I'll start with Norm Alston, who was specifically on the Cotton Bowl project. And we have Delaney Granberry, who is representing the State Fair of Texas. And we have Stefan Kessler, who will be representing the Dallas Parks and Rec Department.
Well, good afternoon or good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the AAB and the Commission. It's odd to speak with you from this side of the podium. For the record, my name is Norman Alston, and I'm speaking with you today because I am I was involved in the Cotton Bowl project. I was the preservation consultant that helped guide the improvements. I'm also the one responsible for getting the appropriate approvals and filing the appropriate applications. While we had a robust discussion with the City Landmark Commission and went through their approval process, I personally neglected to see the SAL permit through. I wanted to make it clear to this commission that this was not the responsibility of the Landmark Commission, the Parks and Rec Department, or the design team that actually executed the project. As ironic and remarkable as it may seem, this was an opportunity. It took a while to get to the point where we could make that application with the level of detail we needed and with the other things going on. And remarkably, it slipped through the cracks for me, and we got way down the road before this came back to light. So I'm here to take responsibility for that and let you know how it got there. I was going to address the context a little bit, but Elizabeth did a fabulous job of doing that, and I appreciate her comments that our efforts to sensitively improve the Cotton Bowl were apparently successful. However, I want to make it also clear that to have not done the permit is not a slight or disregard for the work of the AAB or the Commission. Far from it. I know as well as anyone, the importance of the work of this, the commission and the staff. And again, it was just an opportunity for me to be an idiot, as my wife is fond of reminding me that I have the capability of doing so from time to time, and this is an instance of one of those. So y'all's work is important, it's critical. I've enjoyed very much doing it over the years, and I don't want this to be a negative reflection on here, nor do I overlook the importance of the precedent this would set for current and future applications. So I do think at this point, I wanted to let you know that I will be resigning my position at the AAB because of this activity, and please give you my sincerest apologies for that oversight. And I'll remain to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Alston.
Good morning, my name is Stefan Kessler. I represent the City of Dallas Park and Recreation Department. Also want to, acknowledge that this was not an intentional oversight by the department. It is typical when we hire our consultant teams that we rely on the preservation architects to do the application, and we have done a lot of recent work in the Fair Park with successful applications such as Hall Estate, Music Hall. We're going to continue with that. We as a planning and design division of Park and Rec have not historically applied for our own SAL permit. So just wanted to lay where we rely on our expertise. So any questions?
Thank you. Oh,
Hello again. I'm so sorry. I just, as it pertains to the State Fair of Texas and the Tower Building, I know Elizabeth mentioned, kind of figuring out the installation and removal of that graphic. It is on a 3M laminate that is historically recommended for use on historic buildings. So we waited for the right partner, the right method in order to install that signage on the Tower Building. And if there's any other further questions, of course, we want to make sure that we're also in compliance.
Okay, thank you.
Could I ask a question
Yes.
this time, or no? The attach points so we're talking about the signage, is that correct?
On the Tower Building, yes.
Right. Okay, so then the attach points, who installed those?
So there's no necessary, it's an adhesive, so there's no
Okay.
attach points, but it was E.H. Teasley, who has been a partner who installs at the State Fair of Texas for many years.
Okay, so then when you go to put the signage up, obviously there's some sort of lift.
We used a crane
Okay.
for the top part, and then as we got closer, they can speak to the exact details of what heavy machinery was used, but I know that there was a crane for the majority of it.
Okay, so then for the wind shear aspect of it, so it has an adhesive, I assume, on the back.
Correct. It's a rough wall graphic, so there's really, it sticks to the building, but the adhesive comes off with the graphic. So there was no damage to the Tower Building after the removal. As mentioned, it is currently down. And there was proper precautions taken, especially during the removal, to ensure that the basket at the bottom of so the tower itself and then the Tower Building, there was no damage on either side.
Okay, so as dust blows, I just had I'm not trying to make this more, I think signage is crucial, for people to be able to see what's going on and what's happening and the excitement that it brings and all the rest of it. And I've been to this many, many times, as we all have, I'm sure, in this room. But so as dust blows, so when you say that there's no damage to the structure itself, obviously there's an inside and an outside, one that's protected, one that's unprotected. Is there any type of little outline or anything that needed to be cleaned up when it comes off?
We didn't receive any reports that there needed to be any cleaning.
So there was an inspection report, I'm sure, right?
Correct. So it was installed on August 12th and it was removed by October 27th.
Okay.
So it was within the 90-day window.
Okay, and the inspection report would have been given to whom?
I am not sure of that information, but I can find out.
Okay, that'd be nice. Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you very much.
I do have one comment for all, oh, we got, sorry.
Wait a minute, we have a question down here.
What is the remedy? I mean, we're here to hear all of this,
Yes.
but what's now I understand, what piqued my curiosity was it's not ADA compliant on the ramps? And I mean, I just really want, you've outlined everything, Elizabeth. What's the remedy?
To address the question of the ADA compliance, that was the existing ramps built in 1948 to 1949, which was the rationale for the removal.
Are they compliant now?
Yes, everything
Okay.
is compliant now.
What is the remedy for all the other irregularities, non-disclosure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? So what's the remedy?
That really is a question for the commission. There are possible remedies within the Antiquities Code. My main goal as staff is to just develop a better working relationship with Fair Park and with the other partners involved in the ongoing stewardship of Fair Park and to ensure we're not in this situation going forward.
So it's mea culpa, huh?
It is.
I believe that's a question for you all.
Along with what was being said, and I agree, because I don't understand what exactly is the remedy other than mea culpa. But I appreciate these very heartfelt explanations, especially for Mr. Austin. But I also question the city. Is there no follow-up? Yes, you depend on your experts, but perhaps in the future, there has to be something learned from this, that there has to be a follow-up. You can't just remark or hold on to one person or one group doing it. And as far as Fair Park and the signage, I'm wholeheartedly, yes, you need signage. But why not just check a phone call? I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. We can all do mea culpa, and we have now a resignation, but there has to be something, if at least learn from this, and where you do have follow-up on all parts, is what I'm trying to get to. I mean, that it's not really a question. It's really, I mean, I can be all like this, but.
Isn't the real issue here how we can go forward with the number of inmates that kind of run the asylum at Fair Park? It's true.
He's right.
Well said.
Well, you have the state fair, and I know Mitchell Gleber, who's the EVP there, or runs the state fair. Some high-quality people. The Parks and Recreation Department in the city of Dallas is terrific. And I'm sure the preservation officer here is experienced, but we have so many different people, organizations. You've got the Cotton Bowl and the Cotton Bowl Committee. Goes on and on. Who's accountable going forward? That's the issue. How can we have accountability and how can we have communication? I think that's the big question here.
That is a very good question, and it is my intention to kind of lead I don't, for lack of a better word, a coalition or a committee with all the stakeholders involved. We do have the Fair Park Task Force, but they really only review certificates of appropriateness. What I'm looking at is more those of us in this room and others getting together to make sure that we're all on the same page. And I intend to kind of lead that effort.
I have a question. It's really probably more pointed than Fritz's. Does any of this have to do with the overall malaise of management at Fair Park? Norm, I know you'll tell me, so.
Yes, sir, I will. No, sir, it doesn't. I mean, as we pointed out earlier, as Elizabeth pointed out, Fair Park actually has a long history of compliance and working with the THC and the Dallas Landmark Commission. It's actually a pretty rigorous process over there to do that. I wouldn't call it a malaise. The issues that you have read about with the recent contracts at Fair Park are serious and extraordinarily disappointing for me personally, because I was part of the original nonprofit that took that project on. But those are management and budgeting issues. I would say that the protections for preservation at Fair Park, albeit they are approached and I'll use the word assaulted by a number of different entities with their own agendas, it has nonetheless, I think, done an excellent job over the years and protected the historic integrity of Fair Park. I don't believe the historic integrity of Fair Park is at question anymore. What we do have is, well, one pretty spectacular failure, but again, that gets down to an individual who should know better, should have known better, does know better, will always know better. And I think I can assure you that the idea that, you make mistakes, the best thing you can do is learn from them. And I can assure you firsthand that mistake has taught me an important lesson. So I wouldn't be too concerned. I'm not concerned about the preservation protections at Fair Park. There are opportunities for there are opportunities like this, but they've been quite rare. Does that help?
Thanks, Norm.
Okay.
Sounds to me like it was an honest mistake. But again, to Dave's point, is there just needs to be a point person, and y'all need to make that decision and then bring it to the THC. That's it. I mean, so we need a solution to a little situation that obviously everything is okay. That's what you're saying to us, correct? Okay.
That is our intention.
So who's going to be?
I did want to make note that the Cotton Bowl edition did go through the Landmark Commission and like what 3 or 4 different meetings to get it right, and with some consultation with THC right along the way. So we went through a process, and the city did approve the certificate of appropriateness. It was just this final step to get the permit, and so we are just at this point seeking approval of the permit and to come into compliance.
Well, you're seeking forgiveness rather than permission, which is not the ideal way to do this.
Correct.
Correct.
And I think the good news in all of this, well, first of all, I think our staff has demonstrated professionalism and responsiveness. And the good news is that their analysis is that what was physically done to the Cotton Bowl without the benefit of a permit would have been approved had the permit been submitted at an appropriate time. But I share the concern that everyone else has expressed is how do we avoid this in the future? And Norman, we very much appreciate your courage and your offer to resign, but I think the issue is bigger than you. I think it does reside with all these different entities who it needs to be made clear what the obligation of all the entities is. So I think there needs to be an education program about the buildings on the site that are designated as state antiquities landmarks and what those requirements are. And you need to make that abundantly clear to the City of Dallas, to the Fair Park, to the Parks Department, and even your Landmark Commission. As a person who served for 18 years on the Landmark Commission for the City of Austin, we would always, for properties designated at the state level, turn to the state first for their review before we started reviewing. So I think there were a number of missed opportunities, and the only fortunate thing is that the staff has determined that the work that was done on the Cotton Bowl would have been acceptable. I'd also like to offer a comment that the temporary signage seems to have flown under the radar because it's allowed under a city ordinance, and that needs to be brought to the surface because it needs to be evaluated through a different matrix under the SAL issues. So, and how do we have assurance? How do we solve this? I don't have a good suggestion, except I would appreciate very much if the city of Dallas would embark upon an education program to make sure everyone understands what an SAL is, which of your sites are SALs, and what the required procedures are. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'll piggyback on here and do my less is more thing again. Is this the first time that the tower has been closed with a banner or with signage?
2024, this is not the first time that it has been completely covered. The reason that we chose Reliant, that's the reason that we waited for the sponsorship, was back in the 50s, the tower building was actually an ad for an electric building. So there was electric neon signage running down it. I don't have a photo in front of me. 2024 was the first year that we entered into a multi-year sponsorship agreement with Reliant. So 2024 and 2025.
Okay. Well, so it's very recent development. You know, it's another Pandora's box thing with such significant fabric and slick surfaces, if you will, from the 30s on the other buildings. When does the next sign get adhered somewhere? You know, it is a Pandora's thing that the tower, so obvious, is the test model for this. And I think sometimes National Historic Landmark sites, SALs, very important place, as was described by Elizabeth adequately. Sometimes maybe, you know, the answer, again, you're talking sponsorship and money, and I wasn't at that conversation, and it does have a bearing. But sometimes an answer to some of these things should be, maybe we don't do that. Maybe it's inappropriate at that point to do that kind of thing. Because it sounds like it was adhered carefully and done well. What's the next form of application in Anchorage that might get carried away? So, or what other surfaces might be implicated by other interest in doing other commercial signage? So it's you know, we're making a lot of this, but we went through something like this with the Astrodome a few years ago, this very committee, where they were doing a temporary painting on the building with an artist, and assured us, coming forth with a permit, that they were using a surface treatment before they would do the painting. It was strictly temporary. But there was a lot of concern about that because people on scaffolding and paint in all of our buildings, same thing sort of applies to this really important complex, and the Astrodome is right up there. It's a terribly important thing. So we went to some pains, and that's probably why we're doing it again. But thank you.
So I have a question for Elizabeth, and it kind of goes to Ted's comment about what is the remedy. And I think you have referred a couple times to some sort of retroactive permit.
Right.
Why would we do it retroactively when we have a lot of discussion that it wasn't done on that date? So it kind of, I mean, is there a method to make it today and effective back, but to not have it signed back in August when it's really signed in November?
Right, it will be signed with the current date when that signature occurs.
And you'll reference that it's just
Yes.
retroactive back to the date that it was required?
Yes, and
Okay.
it allows us to get the documentation of the project and analyze the work.
Right.
And also to get a completion report is required to close an SAL permit, so we will get a comprehensive documentation package as a result of permitting this rather than simply,
My concern is like backdating
backdating
typically
Right, no,
is
we would
not a
not
good
backdate it.
idea.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that we have a lot of documentation to say it wasn't done.
Right.
So today, we don't want to say, well, kind of, now we're going to backdate it. So
Yes,
that's
and
my concern.
We can even, in the description of work under the permit, we could reference it being retroactive.
Yes,
To
that'd
be clear.
that'd be great. Thank you.
Are there other comments from any of the?
I'd like to make a comment. I think that what we're talking about here is a lot of benign neglect that's occurred over the last 50 years. I mean, there are a lot of things that should have been addressed some time ago. And I think that the city attorney, Parks and Wildlife, or Parks, not Parks and Wildlife, Parks Department, and the folks involved with preservation really need to police everything as best they can. And I think this is starting to happen, and it's a good sign. And I hope we can get a group of people together and seriously study these issues. And I know some of my friends over there would like to see that happen. Thank you.
Other comments?
Madam Chairman, I would like to just go on record publicly to acknowledge Norman Alston for his many, many years of service on the Antiquities Advisory Board. I have tremendous respect for you and the work that you've done, and you've brought a lot to this board. So,
Amen.
I second that. Dallas is a big city and a big player in history, and to have him there and to contribute this perspective statewide from that such an important place has been very helpful. Thank you, Norm.
Are there other comments from any of the commissioners in the AAB? I'd just like to reiterate, and I'd like to thank Elizabeth for her very thorough investigation into this and presentation to us. Thank you, Elizabeth, for being so thorough, and very glad to hear that you're checking with the National Park Service, show that the work, even though it had not been permitted, had been done to the standards that the National Park Service would approve. I want to thank Norman for coming forward and standing in acknowledgement of those failures, and I know he has been a valuable member of the board. And to the parks, I would reiterate again what everyone else has said, that I think there needs to be some sort of meeting or whatever to try to come together and to understand what needs to happen with the commission. And I would also like to say that it is my professional opinion that we need to look at the appropriateness of draping or covering historic structures, such as the tower, with advertising. And those are my final comments. Are there other comments?
No. We need to move forward.
Sean.
All right?
So do you
Go
need to
ahead.
adjourn the AAB?
Yes, I was going to adjourn. Do you need something else, John?
Nope.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. So if there's no further business from the AAB, there being none, it is now 11:17, and the AAB board meeting is adjourned.
Okay, thank you, and obviously it was a thorough discussion. I now move to the Friends of the THC, and Chair is Donna. Donna Carter, welcome. Good to see you again.
Thank you.
I recommend you bring the mic down to you. There you go.
Is that going to be better? All right. I'm sure a train's going to come through. Thank you, Chairman. The Friends are very happy to be here. The rest of the commission and the AAB, they get to go. That's great. Have some coffee for me. But it is my pleasure to be standing here as usual. I am in my second year as chair, so they are going to be able to get rid of me. But it is basically, we are so pleased to be able to be your partners in all of the work that you do and in our preservation mission. I am happy to report that the Friends of the THC, we continue to thrive and grow our fundraising efforts. Our executive director, our tireless executive director, Anjali Zutzi, is here. We also have the entirety of our staff at this moment. Tracy Anderson is here, as well as Lorelei Gonzalez. And without their work, none of our work would get done. And we will, Anjali will obviously give you our full report and all of the things that we have been doing in this last year. I also have some members on my board. I think they're still here. We have Daisy White, but I think you all know who she is. And then we have Rowena Dash and Sally Ann. who paved the way for me to be here, and we were in such good shape that no matter what I do, we're going to continue to be in good shape. But I want to give you kind of a nutshell of where we've been. It's kind of a big nut, however. It's more like a coconut. We have raised $2.65 million in operating, project, and programming funding. Our endowment portfolio continues to grow. It's increased 56% in the last fiscal year, from almost 1.7 in August of 24 to 2.65 in August of 2025. These endowments support critical programs of the THC, as well as now a historic site, the Presidio La Bahia. We've continued to expand our ability to be nimble, creative, responsive, and supporting the THC roles. We continue to have that kind of outward, almost that business look at how we can get things done. And this is evidenced in our ability to continue to help THC acquire critical properties. We've added additions to the Goodnight Ranch, Eisenhower Birthplace, and we've conveyed both of those back to THC this year. We haven't bought a tractor this year. We haven't done some of the other cool stuff, but, land is good too. The first quarter of 2025 is off to a good start. We've had significant increases in revenue, or we have our revenue sources kind of in place, and we have important asks in the pipeline, and we're continuing to kind of build that side so that we have repeat supporters. So we're kind of working on that plan. We are very excited about the projects that we're working on right now. We're still continuing to work on Levi Jordan and Caddo Mounds. We will have the 10th anniversary of Real Places. I sure hope that we'll see many of you there, and that'll happen in April of 2026. And that, we'll continue to support our stewardship programs and education programs that across THC, working with staff and all of the divisions. In all of this, our focus as a board is to make sure that we can continue to act and support THC in the years that come, and towards the sustainability that is something that is truly sustainable. And to this end, we actually had a succession planning with our little meager staff. How do you succeed? And it really is the hit by a bus. It's what happened if some disaster that we really have no control over. Are we still going to be in a position? But obviously put us in to also train and grow up to what we want to be in the future. So we kind of did both of those, and it's really to make sure that we're prepared for any eventuality and that we're able to continue to build the organization, our efforts, and show that professional face to our supporters and future supporters. And as you hear the detailed work of what we've done, I'm ready to answer any questions that you may have. Most of you know how to get in touch with me, and please feel free if you do have any questions, suggestions, or comments. And thank you, of course, for all of your support and all of the work that you do. With that, Anjali, you're right here. All right, take it away.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to go as fast as I can. Commissioners, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm Anjali Zucchi. I'm the Executive Director of the Friends of the THC. And my other hat, of course, is Chief Development Officer for the Texas Historical Commission. I want to start by saying thank you to the Texas Brazos Trail region and Pamela Anderson for, I don't know if they're still here, but they were incredible partners for us on Wednesday. We hosted a reception that many of you attended. Thank you so much for being there and taking the time out. It's always fun to get everyone together for a party, and it was a fun party and it was a beautiful night. I also wanted to say thank you to Rachel Altman, who is the director of the Carnegie History Center. They were generous enough to host the reception in the center, and it was really lovely. I want to start very quickly with an overview of fiscal 2025. It was a successful year. We raised over $1.28 million in individual and corporate gifts, foundation grants, federal funding. We worked on projects like Caddo Mounds, the Goodnight Ranch acquisitions, Real Places Conference, bringing in sponsorship support for that. Our Preservation Scholars Program, we had 8 scholars in 2025, and of course, we continued supporting the Courthouse Stewardship Project. Some big picture sort of support to THC. Donna mentioned the property acquisitions. The sort of the out-of-the-box support that we provide goes from big stuff like property acquisitions to buying tens of pounds of ham for reenactments and programming at sites. So it's never a dull moment, as you can imagine. Presidio La Bahia, we worked with the foundation, the Presidio La Bahia Foundation, on an endowment gift that they made last fiscal year that has established a significant endowment in support of that site, which we're very excited about. I mentioned the Real Places Conference, and we also continue to provide educational opportunities like webinars and workshops to our constituency, which is fairly broad and growing as we speak. Just a quick comparison of fiscal 2024 and 2025. As you can see, every year the amount of actual cash that we bring in differs for different reasons, but the overall trend is upwards, which we are very excited about. And I, again, want to acknowledge my colleagues here, Tracy and Lorelei, because we're a staff of 3, and we try and make it happen, and there are always many balls in the air at any given point in time. Ongoing projects, now this is moving into the last quarter and forward. We received a grant from Humanities Texas. It was a limited grant because of reduction in federal funding, so we are seeing that impact already on many fronts. But we did receive support from them for a lecture series in support of the Texas Archaeology Month for next year. We have a $25,000 grant from the Texas Land Title Association. This is in support of the Courthouse Stewardship Program. This is their 20th year of support. They've been a partner for 20 years, and their support now is up to $500,000 almost. So really incredible considering they are a nonprofit organization. Real Places, we continue to work on the 10th anniversary of the conference next April, and are working on sponsorship support for the conference. We have several acquisition projects that we're looking at. We've done an analysis and provided an acquisition strategy for review by Chairman Now and Joseph, and look forward to supporting that process any way we can. Caddo Mounds, we have requests in front of the Mellon Foundation. We're waiting for some additional conversations with the members of the Caddo Nation to give us some guidance to move that project forward. We have been invited to submit a 3rd request to the Summerlee Foundation. Thank you, Commissioner Crane. That is due in a couple of weeks. And then we have also been invited to submit a request by the Meadows Foundation for this project. So that will go out a little later. Washington on the Brazos, there are funding agreements that we have 2 in place, 3 actually, including Real Places, but the 2 I'm talking about here. One supports the Washington on the Brazos exhibit development for the town site. The last 2 structures, the Hall and Lot Tavern and the ferry crossing, we have contracted with Forney Construction to complete those 2 projects. That's part of a funding agreement. And the second one is to bring on a owner's representative to provide guidance on, at this point, 7 capital projects that THC is involved with. Other grants and activities, we've got a grant request in with the Library of Congress, the Teaching with Primary Sources program. This is going to support the development of additional lesson plans, online lesson plans for a specific set of historic sites. As of the creation of this presentation, we had submitted our LOI, and we were getting ready to submit the full request, which has gone in. The Texas Historical Foundation has invited us to submit a request to support the Preservation Scholars Project. We're going to be doing that in the next few months. We are also really, really honored to be invited to present a full nomination for the Duda Preservation Award for McGoffin Home. Really grateful for that invitation, and we are working on that, and the deadline for that is December 8th. And then, of course, our fiscal sponsorship program continues. The Friends of the Fort, which support Presidio La Bahia, have come on as a new fiscally sponsored project, and we're excited to be supporting them as well. I'm going to really rush through Washington on the Brazos. The campaign is, as far as the target goal for the Washington on the Brazos Foundation is concerned, their goal was $10.4 million. They are only about a little over 300,000 short of that. And as I understand, I think they may be submitting a final request to the Ed Rishal Foundation for review. So we may have some good news on that front. Of course, no guarantees, but just wanted to share that. They've received several new grants and commitments since the last commission meeting. I'm not going to list all of them, but they do also have several additional pending requests that they're waiting to hear back on. So hopefully the next month or so, they'll have some answers on those requests as well. Just very quickly, this is something that you'll see this afternoon as well, the donor wall. Right now it's blank, but this is the wall that's gonna list all of the donors, and it'll have, I believe, over 80 names on there. So they've really got a substantial list of donor support from the campaign that they're gonna be showcasing here. Lots of naming opportunities, so many donors did take advantage of that and stepped up to claim one of those naming opportunities. You'll see those as well at the site. Very quickly about the Preservation Scholars Program, we completed our last program in August, and we are already in the cycle for the next program. But we had several applications last year, 53, and we ended up bringing on 8 scholars. We hope to have a similar result this next cycle, which is going to open, and Tracy and I are resolute on that, is going to open on Monday. So the applications will be open for students to look at. Our virtual events program continues, as do our development workshops, and we have 2 coming up. We completed 2 in July and August, and we have 2 more coming up for the rest of this year. And then I'm sorry about the size of the text there, but these are the financials as of October 31st. Again, very healthy, very robust, and we look forward to bringing you updates in the next meeting. Thank you. Any questions?
Well, I want to express my personal appreciation and that of the commission. Right now, we have probable land deals that you and the Friends are greatly involved in at Washington on the Brazos, Eisenhower, Goliad, and a couple of sites to be unnamed right now. In my tenure, I've never seen so many land opportunities hit all at once. So I want to thank you and your board for the role, because without the Friends, none of this would be going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Holocaust, genocide, anti-Semitism, and we're happy to have Ken Goldberg here, the chair. Ken, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioners and professionals, I'm Ken Goldberg. I have the honor of chairing the Texas Holocaust, Genocide, and Anti-Semitism Advisory Commission. I'm joined here today by our outstanding Executive Director, Joy Nathan. I want to start by thanking the THC for your continued guidance and support. With your backing at the Capitol in recent legislative session, the THG AAC received an increase to our annual operating budget, doubling the money available to expand Holocaust, genocide, and anti-Semitism education in Texas. We also received an additional $1 million to help combat anti-Semitism on college campuses. We appreciate the bipartisan backing of the state leadership, as our work is timely and needed now, if not more, as much as ever. Included in our legislative request was the addition of 2 new full-time positions to assist the THG AAC in meeting our mission. And I'm pleased to share that Joy has recruited and filled those new positions. Alexander Suster joined the THG AAC team in mid-October and serves as the Campus Outreach Coordinator, working directly with high school and college students to understand their needs and build stronger connections to support them. We also just hired a second commission educator, Elizabeth Sorrell, who will help advance our connectivity in K through 12 schools by meeting the education service centers to ensure professional development and training are available to all schools across our great state. The THG AAC held our last quarterly meeting in Dallas on September 3rd. And I want to express my appreciation to Commissioner Kathy McKnight for joining us, and as always, Joseph Bell for attending and keeping us up to speed as what's going on with the THC, and also joining in all our meetings and the meetings we have with friends and everything else. So thank you guys for that. The THG AAC voted on 2 items. Our strategic plan for fiscal years 26 and 27, which aligns with the goals of our advisory commission with our statutory responsibilities and budget, and the establishment of the next grant cycle. Both recommendations will come up later in today's agenda for a commission vote. We are also planning for the 7th annual Holocaust Remembrance Week, which is the last week of January and will take place January 26th through 30th, 2026. The state-mandated week coincides with the liberation of Auschwitz, which, as you all know, was one of the most horrific concentration and death camps in Poland. The requirements is for all public schools in grades K through 12 to teach about the Holocaust. The legislation names the THG AAC to oversee the approval of materials. We learned through a survey that we did for Holocaust Remembrance Week that 1/3 of all Texas schools were unaware of Holocaust Remembrance Week. Because it is imperative that we build awareness for Holocaust Remembrance Week, we have established deeper relationships with the TEA. Together, we met and developed a communications plan for administrators, social studies, and English language arts educators to share resources and expectations for Holocaust Remembrance Week. We created a guide to help navigate the THG AAC's website to make it as turnkey as possible for users to find age-appropriate lesson plans, books, audiovisual materials, or to request a speaker. We have also had many successes partnering with the Texas Association of Rural Schools, which has made significant introductions and connections to 20 education service centers throughout Texas. And we're continuing to explore customizable professional development and training opportunities for all schools regardless of their geography. On our anti-Semitism initiatives, including combating anti-Semitism on college campuses and preparing our next anti-Semitism report for the legislature a year from right now, we have issued a request for proposal, an RFP, to hire a consultant to help guide the process and support our communication strategy. As we finalize plans, we have been having targeted meetings with key university leadership with the Texas systems to understand their needs and to devise unique tools and programs to engage faculty and students. We look forward to sharing more at the next quarterly meeting of the THC. Our next quarterly meeting will be December 3rd in Houston, and we invited Chairman Nall last night. And any of you in the Houston area or want to come down and hang out with us on December 3rd, we'd love to see you there. Thank you.
We have any questions? I'll be there,
Thanks,
God willing. Thanks. Thank you. And consent. All right. Number 7, the commission may approve agenda items 7.1 through 7.10 by a majority vote on a single motion. Any commissioner may request that an item be pulled from this consent agenda for consideration as a separate item. Now, Commissioners, are there any consent items that should be taken into consideration as a separate item?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to pull consent item 7.5.
All right, pull it and eliminate it, or consider it separately?
No, we will consider it separately.
Okay, so we are going to vote on 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, 7.6. Go to next page. 7.7, 7.8, 7.9, 7.10. All right, do I have a motion?
Yes, So sir. Moved.
We've got a number of motions. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now, do you want to take that separate item now or later?
Up to you, Chairman. What do you prefer?
How long will this be?
I can do it real fast.
I like that.
Okay, I'm going
Okay,
to read
take
this
it away.
really fast. Consent item number 7.5, consider recertification for the Corpus Christi Museum of Science and History. Nueces County for 10 years in the curatorial program was approved by the Archaeology Committee with an amendment that the recertification approval is accepted with the addition of a 6-month period to address the 2 deficiency factors relating to the current lack of insurance for the collections and need to update the disaster management plan. The approved revised motion should read, move that the Commission approve recertification of the Corpus Christi Museum of Science and History under the Curatorial Facilities Program another 10-year period with a requirement that the 2 deficiency factors be addressed within a 6-month period.
The staff is going along with that? Yes. Okay, any,
We need to second it, so you have your second.
Second.
Now you can go.
any questions? You remember that we removed all of the state assets because of the threat of flooding and damage to the items. They have been removed from the museum and brought back to Austin. Okay, any discussions? Being none, call for a vote on that item. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Kate.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Donnelly, the Agency Services and Communications.
Agency Services and Communications had a good meeting yesterday. We don't have any action items. We reviewed expenditures to close out fiscal year '25 and looked at how they were moving into this next year. Discussed IT moving forward. I think the staff's very excited about the IT upgrades that have been approved, and everything's moving forward, and we're excited to see a lot of that technology on display in WAB in about an hour. So that's my report.
Is all the equipment wired?
For WAB?
No, well, generally.
Much of it was in licensing of software packages, as I understand it from Dr. Carroll.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go to 9. Commissioner Hines, the archaeology. Anything further?
Yes, sir, there is. We had a really good meeting yesterday, and Brad presented a lot of information to us. And so, Brad, if you would like to stand up and talk about some about the LaBelle artifacts. And
Chairman, you had asked me to present on the LaSalle Odyssey Museum, as well as additional NAGPRA information. I am prepared to do that, but in the interest of time, if you would like, I can defer to the next commission meeting.
Is it in writing or presentation?
It's in presentation format. I'm happy to give updates in the interim to anybody who asks.
Okay. To shorten this. Do we have any missing, can we account for all the items?
Yes.
Okay, let's do a fuller report with a map to show the spread next meeting, all right?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Is that okay? All right. All right, we are architecture, right?
Yes, sir. The Architecture Committee had a good meeting yesterday, and we all know the good works of the Architecture Division, so we will spare you the report. But we do have 2 action items for your consideration. The first is recapture of funds from several grant awards to Willacy County. My firm has a professional relationship with Willacy County, and I have asked Commissioner Garcia, who hails from Raymondville, to chair this particular item. And I will recuse.
And so I will pick up real quick here for my esteemed colleague. So the commission passed yesterday the approval to recapture these funds from Willacy County. So we are bringing to the commission this move to recapture funds from Willacy County's Round 11 planning grant in the amount of $422,333.07 and award supplemental funding to Willacy County's Round 13 full restoration grant in the amount of $432,080.77, which will require a minimum local match of $49,000. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Elizabeth is here to answer any questions, if there's anything that needs any kind of debate, discussion, questions.
Just as a minor point of clarification, you'll note that the award is higher than the recapture. And so I wanted to provide some clarification as to why that is. The recapture is from a Round 11 planning grant that came in under budget. We had previously done a recapture in October of 2024 from a Round 9 emergency grant to the county. The only reason that the county did not ask for a higher amount for the Round 13 full restoration construction grant is because these funds were already obligated to the preservation of the county. So we are simply wanting to roll those up into their current grant-funded project.
We have action? Go
Yes.
ahead.
Yes, no more discussion, no more debate, no more questions. We'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion has passed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Garcia. And our second action item is to approve the award of an out-of-cycle funding for the Goliad County Courthouse, which the committee considered during its meeting yesterday and recommends to the commission for their approval. Ms. Brummett, do you want to offer any background information?
I can, if it would be helpful. This is tied to the interlocal contract for the acquisition of the Fannin Monument and other lands around Presidio La Bahia.
The Goliad situation is not just the courthouse. The courthouse project became part of a much larger discussion and series of negotiations that went all the way to the Vatican. I have to say that Joseph and the staff did an amazing job, but it all began in a meeting with the county judge in the courthouse. So this is, I don't know if it's unique, but it's certainly unusual. And I just want to make sure that this was all part of a much, much bigger and quite candidly much more important package. So I would encourage a positive vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there any further discussion? The committee brings you this motion, so I don't know if it needs to be made again. Do we need a second, though?
Second.
Any further discussion? Yes, ma'am?
You did.
Actually, I did. I'm making the motion. A motion and a second. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes our report, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Hello, thank you, Mr. Now and Commissioners. We have one item today. Commissioner Peterson, do you have anything you want to start with? Your
No,
name
in
is
the
actually
interest of-
on the slide.
In the
Okay.
interest of brevity,
Okay, we're considering the approval of designations of 2 new Texas Main Street cities. In your packet, you have item 11.2 with the background, the evaluation criteria, and the scoring that is reflective of our staff and the interagency council recommendations. So the first city, both of these cities went through our First Street initiative. The first city is Borger up in the Panhandle, Hutchinson County, and the second is Killeen in Bell County. And again, both cities are recommended for entry into the Texas Main Street program. And they will be our first cities in a while, and they are not here with us today, but they are watching, so I ask that you consider approval of these 2 cities.
so I would move to approve Borger and Killeen as official 2026 Texas Main Street cities.
Second.
Second.
Got a lot of seconds, so, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Sounds fairly loud.
Thank you.
We're good.
Wait.
Yep, Crane.
Okay, we will move to historic sites.
Mr. Chairman, we had 4 action items yesterday, and I will yield to our executive director if he'd like to make any comments before we vote on our 4 action items.
All right. We can just go quickly through those. The first item is the Ellis County Round Heritage Farm. You have the slide.
I'll go ahead and make a motion.
Yeah.
Yep. This was approved, and the committee recommended approval of the Phase 1 Ellis County Rural Heritage.
Move to approve Phase 1 report and direct staff to conduct a Phase 2 study of the Ellis County Rural Heritage Farm for consideration of inclusion in the system of the state historic sites. That
Second.
is-
Second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. All right.
Thank you.
The second item is with the 1940 Air Terminal. This was, the committee recommended moving forward with Phase 2 report and moving forward to the full commission.
Any questions about this matter? Okay, we'll go ahead with a motion. Move to approve Phase 2 report and direct staff to conduct a Phase 3 study of the 1940 Air Terminal Museum for consideration of inclusion system of the Texas historical sites.
Second.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Yes.
Discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right. And the next item is the donation of land, considering the cemetery, the Slave Cemetery at Levi Jordan, and it is recommended to move forward to the full commission for approval.
Move to authorize staff to proceed with necessary actions to accept the donation, approximately 4.5 acre Duden Cemetery property historically associated with the Levi Jordan plantation for inclusion in the Texas Historical Commission system of state historical sites. Motion.
Second.
There's a second. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, the final item was the land donation at San Felipe, but that item was tabled.
So we move to history programs.
Chairman, for the brevity of today, the State of the Union of the State of the History Divisions is great, and we had a good meeting. Thank you.
You get the medal. Okay, under executive, first item, future dates and locations, 2026-27 commission meeting. Kathy, it's all yours.
So, yesterday, we looked at these dates, and Garrett, Ted, and I put this list together, but Ted pointed out that I think El Paso and San Angelo should be switched. So El Paso would be in October and San Angelo in July.
Is there any objection?
No, did he think it would be cooler in San Angelo in July?
He thought El Paso would be really hot in July. So I don't know anywhere in Texas we've been able to find a cool spot in July. We could have it in Colorado maybe. I don't know. But he thought El Paso would be really too hot for July.
All right.
There's no air conditioning in El Paso.
Well, Mr.
We're going to
Chairman,
meet on the street in that El Condino or whatever that thing.
Kathy,
Anyway,
you need a
that's-
vote, right?
Yes. So I'm going to move to approve the dates and locations with the switch, El Paso and San Angelo, for the 2026 and 2027 quarterly meetings as noted on the above list.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Excuse me, I'm playing catch-up. Approval of funding recommendations for the Texas Preservation Trust Fund Grant Program Fiscal 26.
Yes, thank you. I'm Ashley Saley. I'm the program coordinator for the Texas Preservation Trust Fund Grant Program. Yesterday, we reviewed the projects that staff and the advisory board have recommended for funding. On the screen is a snapshot of the projects that are recommended for initial funding. As a reminder, we have $386,984.27 available this fiscal year for projects seeking regular TPTF funds. And I'm glad to answer any questions about these projects.
Does anyone have a question? So are you recommending this for approval?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll provide the motion to consider approval for the funding recommendations for the Texas Preservation Trust Fund Grant Program fiscal year 26.
Second.
Motion and a second. We have any discussion? Being none, call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi,
Oh,
Joy
Joy.
Nathan with the THG AAC. I have two items for your consideration. The first, 14.4, the language has been amended from the executive committee meeting yesterday. We'd like to have the commission consider the approval of opening of a fiscal year 2026 grant cycle for the Texas Holocaust Genocide and Anti-Semitism Advisory Commission.
And that's the language that's on the board.
Correct.
All right. Do we have a motion?
So I'll move that to approve the opening of the fiscal year 2026 grant cycle for the Texas Holocaust Genocide and Anti-Semitism Advisory Commission.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Being none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Joy?
The second item is asking for your consideration of the approval of the THG AAC strategic plan for fiscal year 2026 and 2027.
Is there any discussion? Any motion?
I move to approve the recommended THG AAC strategic plan for fiscal year 2026, 2027.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Being none, Call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Joy, thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Kristen, do we have any legal matters? Do we have any illegal matters for that matter?
Oh, we skipped over.
That-
What?
No, Mr. Chairman, I do not have any additional legal matters to bring before the commission at this time.
Have no, okay, that takes care of 15. We're struggling with 14 here.
Yeah.
What happened to 14?
See? There. All right. Chairman had a short agenda item. Which one are? First
Correct.
one's six. Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't on mine. Consider approval Historic Infrastructure Sustainability Trust Fund. Big money. Second draw for Levi Jordan Visitor Center, the Port Isabel Lighthouse Classroom and Visitor Center, and McGoffin Home interior renovation projects. That's the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? We saw this in detail yesterday.
Right.
Go ahead.
And then we have to approve the reallocation of funds.
Well, this is,
Oh, we
Wait a
need to
minute,
vote.
wait a
We need to
minute.
vote.
We got to take the action on that.
Okay.
Okay, I'll reiterate, this is second draw, consider approval of the Historic Infrastructure Sustainability Trust Fund, a second draw for Levi Jordan Visitor Center, Port Isabel Lighthouse Classroom and Visitor Center, and McGoffin Home, the interior renovations. We have that as a motion and a second. Call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Now, Joseph, what do you have?
This would be the reallocation of funds to address the cash flow needs for Washington and the Brazos to finalize the final payments for the project.
And that's up,
whoa,
walk
wrong
us
way.
through it.
Who keeps me?
B.
So I'll move to approve the reallocation of funding from the Historic Infrastructure Sustainability Trust Fund for fiscal year 2026.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Being none, call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
We had gone through this yesterday.
Right,
Now we're down to
okay,
I
16.
think
all right. We have no legal matters. Kristen,
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
good report. Okay, Joseph, Executive Director's report.
The committee had recommended that they would like to see the full reorganizational chart, which we showed here on the screen. And we went over details in regards to how historic sites was restructured. So I have that at a larger format for everyone to look over. So if you have any questions, please let me know as we kind of move forward.
Let me have it. It's, this one here? Okay, sorry, I've got it.
Right. All right, next.
All right, the chairman's report, I think I have,
The one thing that we wanted to do, we want to spend a little time in congratulating Lynn Ward for her 31 years of dedicated service. And we have, the chairman has something for you.
chairman's got to stand up. Ugh. Too long to walk around. Congratulations, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Turn around. Wait a minute. Okay, hold on, I guess.
Oh, here, I'll come around.
Watch your step.
And I'm coming out.
Yeah, there we go.
I'll get a picture with
Yeah,
you later.
right here. No.
Last commission meeting.
I tell you. Thank you, Lynn. You're welcome. Thank you. We're paroling you. Yes.
In Spanish, we say do the vuelta. Gotta do the turn.
Yeah, the chairman's report is really short. See you at WOB.
All right.
You've heard from me the last couple days, nothing new. I just want to thank the staff. The amount of activity going on in this agency right now, never been this level in my entire time of service. So to the staff, Joseph, you all are really moving a lot of balls down the court. And when they say the proof's in the pudding, we're about ready to see it at WOB. So let's just keep moving forward. Thank you, everyone. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We're out of here.
Have a lot of motion, a lot of seconds there.
Shall I remove this?